Imagine if they would have fucked up the audio for Hov.
Oh my God.
Just imagine if they would have did that. Like,
what would you have done if they deleted the infamous Jay-Z episode?
I can't even imagine that, right?
No.
Okay, he doesn't even want to go there. Wow, he looked at him. He's like, no, I'm not answering
he don't even want
that.
to talk about it.
I can't believe that.
About it.
Damn,
unbelievable.
All right, well, man, listen, man. Welcome back to the Need to Know podcast. What you need to know, when you need to know on the Need to Know podcast. Today we have a who you need to know, but we're not going to get to this individual just yet. Got to intro my fine people. SaVon, what up, brother?
What's going on, gang?
What
we in the
doing?
building. It's the Need to Know podcast. Thank y'all for pulling up too, by the way.
Thank you.
Like we've had a lot of momentum. A lot of people been hitting us, DMing, all that shit. So I appreciate all the new people, the old people. We in the building. I go by the name SaVon, and we are joined by the one and only.
Hello, guys. I go by the name Regina. We have a very special episode here for you guys. Thank you to all the new subscribers, and we have a treat for you today.
And lastly, yo, it's your boy A, a.k.a. the Paco Rabone Poppy. Never alone, always with the posse. And today we have a who you need to know. But I ain't going to intro your name just yet. You want me to teach you how to drive?
Nah,
Yo,
man.
wait.
I'm good money.
I feel like no introduction is needed because just by the laugh, they probably know who that was.
Of course they know.
Damn.
Of course everything about this nigga's legendary. I ain't gonna lie. From the laugh to the birthday, the waist size is even legendary.
SaVon, you swear.
Hold
Hold
on.
on.
That's
the
an
waist
inside
size.
joke. That's a little inside
no,
joke.
it's not inside. It's outside.
Inside,
but
outside.
We have a legend.
Yeah, man.
I really, I want to say this is Mr. If You Know, You Know.
For sure.
And what I mean by that, if you know, you definitely know.
Yeah, I feel like I epitomize the need to know, right?
I'm not mad at that.
Say some more.
Epitomize the need to know.
Get your shit off.
Say some more about
This is our
that.
pinnacle.
That's it. I epitomize the need to know because it's more insider. It's like you may not know, if you don't, but you need to know. So
For sure.
That's love.
to speak to what you guys have built.
And if y'all don't know, I'm sure y'all already know. It's the legend, the one and only YN, Spicy, Big Ellie, Elliott Wilson in the building. What's going on, my guy? You feel me? Clap it up.
Big Ellie.
Young Potters, what's up?
Thank you so much for joining
Talk
us.
to
I just
us.
want to set the tone for how the mood is right now. This man, he's a legend. You know, we big him up all the time. He's a celebrity. He's a
You'll be talking shit about me though,
No,
too.
no, no,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No.
Not for
That's
sure.
why I'm here.
No, don't lie. I be talking shit sometimes.
Oh, really,
Yeah, we
really?
do.
But
That's my man, though.
just, you know, we were ready to, be hospitable. But this man, literally, his stature, he walks in, he lets himself in. He goes, yo, where my drink at? And he sits and he makes himself comfortable. And so we're going to have an amazing episode.
Absolutely.
I ain't gonna lie, you loose today too, man. New York got you loose. What's up, man?
I'm a New Yorker in my core, baby. This is who I am.
So why you went to Cali, man? What's up with that?
Wife's from Cali. It was time to settle down, get the family roots together. It's what it is,
Yeah, but you bored out there, right?
Nah, I'm a legend. I'm good. I'm everywhere.
He's
I'm
good.
everywhere I want.
everywhere.
I also live in California where I can walk. I'm not a driver as you
Insinuate.
tapped in the beginning.
Yeah.
I do not have a driver's license. I'm 52 years old. I'm Uber King. And I
Uber
walk
King.
these streets. I walk from Venice, Santa Monica,
That's tough.
I get my steps in.
Get your miles in.
I get my stuff.
I gotta see his Apple Watch.
I was
after
just
this
in your
shit.
hood not too long ago. I actually walked from Santa Monica to Venice on some drunk
There you
shit.
go.
I legit
I have
did
no
it.
idea what that
I was
is.
out there. Yeah. It was a nice walk. I got my steps in. Very reflective, right? So I was walking towards something.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was reflecting. I'm like, this is where I want to be. This is
feel
where I
like
need to
there's a
go.
metaphor.
No, it's no metaphor at all.
Okay.
When Elliott is walking
cooking
that
up.
same walk,
All the time.
it's about this is what I've done. This is what I'm going to
Meditation.
continue to do. You know what I'm saying? So I think that walk is just therapeutic, and you can see it in a different way.
I feel like
depending
I'm
on
a
who
New
you are.
Yorker wherever I live. It's like I was telling y'all earlier. It's like people don't even accept that I don't live in New York because I feel like I'm actually humbled that people view me as such a New Yorker. I feel like that's my spirit. Like that's its own nation. I feel like being a New Yorker is like its own nationality, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely, yeah.
wherever you drop me on a planet, whether I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, motherfucking London, I'm a New Yorker. That's my core. So
It's your persona.
that doesn't change. Like I'm not a Californian. I could live in California for the next 40 years of my life, but I'm still a New Yorker. in
Was
my
it a
core.
hard decision to make that move? That's a big decision all the way in the West
Well,
Coast.
we did it before the whole pandemic, and it was
okay.
it seemed like the right thing. This quality of life, It's like it felt right, because
Okay.
my wife is from Cali, like I said.
Oh, okay.
So I'm with it, and like, what the great thing now is like, we're out of this pandemic, I could travel again. Like I like to be on the move. Like I like to go get the story. So I could come out here in New
We
York
know.
and
Yeah.
get content, come back home. Like I love it. Like
Yeah,
the
he's
balance of both.
He's bi-coastal with it,
I think what
Yeah.
it is about your identity with New York is because you're synonymous with hip hop.
Yeah.
And hip hop is synonymous with New York.
People hate that.
It is. People do hate it.
I
No,
realize
for real.
that.
They do.
Shout
They
out to the
can't hate
50.
it though because it's just a fact. Like it's literally a fact. It's
Well, we
not.
started it.
It's not debatable.
But
It's
you
a
know
fact.
what though? The 50 years of hip hop is making me realize how many people don't like that. No funny shit. You can tell like where it's like, all right, cool, because a lot of the hip hop celebrations are based in New York. A lot of the elder statesmen that started hip hop are from New York.
Well, a
and the
lot of
Bronx.
modern day hip hop
Right.
isn't relying on that theory, right? Like we say, the Outkast says South got something to say, and really after kind of, let's say 05, because I was at Double XL, right? So you got to imagine 50 Cent comes in, he changes the game, he's the biggest thing. And I always say, I said it with academics thing, like, we never had a guy that was the biggest underground, the biggest mainstream at the same time. Like, it was unprecedented. So once the G Unit thing kind of declined in like 05, 06, Lil Jon, all that Atlanta shit popped up, and it was just like New York lost their like hold of the culture where it went more southern.
Right.
And since then, it's been a balance of that where New York doesn't have the stranglehold in culture. So that's probably why how people view hip hop. It's like, yo, the South has something to say, and at a certain point, like they've been the most consistent with like the hit records and the energy throughout that run from like 05 to now.
Right. And you want
But
to know
now, do you think so now as well?
Yeah, Fuck You Mean by Gunna even. Like all the controversy to Gunna, the Fuck You Mean record is like the big
biggest rap
record.
record, yeah.
Whether it's the summer anthem or not, I don't know because, you know, he's in controversy, so everybody doesn't want to fully embrace it. But, you know, I think he still made the best album to me
In hip hop this year.
This year. Gunna made the best
I
album.
did see you tweeted that, yeah.
Yeah, and I stand by. I still feel that way after hearing Travis and all that shit. And no disrespect, but I feel like Gunna's still got the best album. And like, yeah, Fuck You Mean, I think it's still like that, you know, top type club banger record of like that's a hit, you know. And I love Bread and Butter. I thought Bread and Butter is actually the better single to me in terms of quality, but like it's not a radio record. It's more like
you can't work
he's
that.
telling his testimony. So
And don't be mad at me because the snitches make slaps. Like I wasn't in the
my
studio.
goodness.
Like, yo, I wasn't in the studio with you niggas. Y'all niggas all got the same 24 hours. His shit ringing off. I understand that shit. No funny shit. So listen, like a lot of people know you as Rap Radar Elliott Wilson.
okay.
A lot of people know you as the serious journalist. Double XL, of course, as you mentioned. But I ain't gonna lie. Recently, we've been getting spicy Elliott.
That's what Joe
No,
Joe gave me that, right? The
No,
spicy
I
joint.
will
How
say.
does that sound hot? Like spicy doesn't sound.
No, I will say that, you know, recently people, you know, whatever has been in the news, people are saying like, oh my gosh, what's up with Elliott? Oh my God, why is he being so
Yeah.
spicy? But for the ones that know, you guys, he has always been like this. You guys always talking
I didn't
shit,
know.
sending letters, sending disses, saying what's
my
on your
guy
mind.
Trav was
He's always
producing-
been like this.
My guy Trav, who produces a lot of what I'm doing with the Elliott Wilson Experience, he was saying like, yo, I was like, why is everybody whatever? He's like, yo, you've been nice for like 10 years. Like
You
everybody-
have.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, they don't
have.
understand. Like they don't know the other side of you. Like you've been nice for like you've been the executive thing, your title, you're so chill.
Right.
You're cool with Jay-Z, you're so accomplished. Like no one gets to hear how you really feel about things. So at a certain point I was just like, yo, I gotta remind people like this is what I view things and what I want to say. And like I started expressing it. And it's so crazy whenever I do it now, it's just like fucking headline news. Like if I say something about I don't like the girl with Drake and Drake goes crazy. I say this about the white party, Puffy goes crazy. I say this about Charlamagne, he goes crazy. It's like, okay, so it just speaks that I do have that power and influence
Yeah.
that what I say
I was gonna say
matters,
that.
but I almost had to like reconnect to that in my own mind about what it means in 2023 on social media to say how I feel about something or in an interview to say how I feel about something because it does impact people.
Do you feel like that's hurt you? You know, like as you've been in this space, do you feel like it's hurt you that you haven't shown that personality? Because you've been tied to brands, right?
Yeah.
So when I got
Yep.
introduced to you, it was during like the early ages of Black podcasts, right? Combat Jack, Taxstone, it was Rap Radar, the Joe Budden podcast, the first iteration of it though, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
sir.
I got introduced to you, but you were tied to the Rap Radar brand and title.
Yep.
Everybody else kind of was floating on their own kind of entity.
Yeah.
But B-Dot and Elliott Wilson, we knew it was the Hove affiliation. Then you did Crown. You've always been tied to a brand. Do you feel
Yep.
like it's hurt you that you haven't really stepped out into like your personality? Because I didn't know you was spicy. I didn't know you had that too.
I didn't know.
I knew
You
it
gotta
because
know it.
But like Red
I
said,
didn't
like
know.
part of the XXL era was that. I don't know if it's hurt me. It's just actually, I don't know, SaVon, like, I guess it's hurt me technically, but I don't feel that way. I don't feel like I lost a step. I feel like those were the right things for me to do at that time.
Got it.
And now I feel like for now it's about, like I said with Act also, like that's sort of like self-branding. I feel like at a certain point it's like when I look at the landscape, people believe in like personal brands more than the bigger affiliation. Like Joe Budden is this or Gillian Wallow, or like so that's how I view it. Like, so let him know who Elliott Wilson is and what does it mean now in 2023 to be Elliott Wilson. So and I think it's on time. Like, I don't regret it. Like at the time, I feel like that was the right thing for me at that time. But now I feel this is the right thing for me of like building this new legacy of me at the forefront and me as the brand presenting myself to people.
Yeah, and not for nothing. I feel like with social media now, we're able to see when you feel a way about something or when you react, right? In the blog era, or when you were just writing articles, it's kind of hard for the rest of the world to kind of see, okay, nah, he got some beef going on with so-and-so, even if people knew about it, right? It's like a Stephen A. Smith, right?
Yeah.
He goes on First Take or all 10 shows he's on ESPN, right?
They work him.
They can't let him go.
I think he might be the hardest working man in all this shit. I ain't gonna lie. Right?
My brother from Queens, though. He's Queens, too.
Yeah, y'all Queens. Y'all gotta find out if y'all born in the same month. We'll get to that later. But he has to deal with 6'9", maybe 7 foot players, right? It's kind of different for you in the rap space. You was kind of dealing with street crews that were kind of doing things and kind of known for certain shit. So
and he would say exactly what's on his mind all the time. So.
How did you navigate that? Like,
how to survive and get lumped up?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you are held accountable what you say, and like you say, you're dealing with real people. So I don't know. I think as a journalist, I learned early on, and Reg could attest to this, like whatever you write, you have to stand on it, right? Because
the second you backtrack, it's like, oh.
Yeah, you gotta. So being a journalist to me is that you have to stand on what you say and what you write, right? Or whatever way you write it, whether it's through an article or through social media. So you got to stand by that. You got to do what comes with that. And I think that anyhow, like I've dealt with all that.
Some of them niggas had guns.
And of course, I dealt with people. Like I'm not a punk. I'm a real dude, but I'm also never trying to be the other side of like, okay, let me get my dudes for my projects to hold me down, and they're in the office and the gather's in the desk drawer. Like I'm not that cat either. So I don't want to be that. So I just try to be real with it. Like, I'm held accountable. I'm a stand-up dude and just carry myself that way. Like I wasn't trying to be something I wasn't. So I think the fact that I never try to like get pulled either way is what was my key to longevity and survival, that I didn't try to be nothing that I wasn't.
I feel like this iteration or this phase or this moment of Elliott Wilson is really authentic. It doesn't come off like you're trying hard.
I appreciate that.
But to
some people think it is.
No, I was going to say, to people who may not be familiar with it, because I'll be honest, I've been watching you for a very long time. I think Academics mentioned it on his pod. He's been a student of this game. You got to pull from the greats. You get what I'm saying? When you're trying to build something, you got to look at Charlamagne, Joe, Elliott. Y'all all bring something different to the table, but y'all are all doing it at the highest level. You get what I'm saying? So for you, we just never had the opportunity to see this side. So it's new to us. It may be old to you, but it's new to us, and that's why
it's a little disruptive, I guess.
It is. It is because you know what we expect when we see Elliott Wilson? We expect that laugh, right? Yeah. We expect one of the top tier artists, actors, whoever
a good
it is.
Interview.
We don't expect opinions. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And so to see your opinion is new and it's refreshing and it's fun. Like I think we kind of needed that inserted into the game to kind of like let us know this is Elliott Wilson. This is YN. Because I didn't even know what YN stood for a very long time. Again,
yellow N-word?
I didn't know.
I thought it meant young nigga.
Why did I try to retrace like when did that really start? And I went back because so basically the whole thing came from the editorials with XXL.
It was when you were doing you were like rapping, right? Wasn't it that when you were writing your raps in like the letters?
I started using lyrics to tell my story, but in the beginning, like so I do this magazine XXL. And I'm like, you have to write an editor's letter, right? That's the biggest thing you say, where you just like talk to the readers of like, hey, this is this issue. How do you feel? Here's what you're about to see, blah, blah. And I was just like, I was uncomfortable back then with the spotlight. I was all behind the scenes. So I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't feel it feel genuine or authentic of like whatever. And so at a point I was just like, I'm just going to tell my truth of like how I feel, whatever it is. Like, okay, here's a guy who, quit the Source under like tense circumstances, and that was his dream job. So he's mad at these niggas, and it's just like fuck him. And like he wants to build this thing, and he thinks it could be bigger than them, even though nobody thinks nobody agrees that he can do it. So I started just being real about how I felt about things and putting it in there. And then the other thing was at the time, XXL was owned by white folks, and they was the thing. It was like all by like black publications. You're not owned by black people. So I was like, I don't care if like white people run my shit. I have a tremendous amount of creative control about what I'm putting out to the public. Yeah. And I'm a nigga. I'm yellow nigga. I run this shit. I'm light skinned. I run my shit. So I wrote yellow nigga in one of the things, and then people started. That's where YN or something, and then people started really calling me YN. It's like, give yourself a nickname. So it's like, then that became the whole persona of the editorials of like, YN is that side of him, like he's just talking his shit. Here's what you're about to read. And like, this is why this issue's better than anything out there. And like, and that started to grow from that.
That's sort of like Envy with the beige rage. You got okay.
No,
I'm seeing a correlation.
Version of beige rage.
I'm seeing a correlation.
Shout out Envy.
Nah, yeah.
A version of beige rage. Exactly.
It's so crazy because me being a journalist, you know, I've like listened to your story and you've talked at length of like every transition that you've had to go through. So with Ego Trip, with the zine era, with the blog era, and that coming to a close, you dominating the magazine scene, and then you swiftly making that pivot into Tidal, streaming. And now, do you feel like this is kind of a transition phase or not? Because
absolutely, it's 100% transition phase. And I don't have it all figured out. That's the thing too. It's like that's why we hate when people project there's shit on me of like, oh, you shouldn't do this. You should like nobody's been at my level of what I've done and been at this age and like
it's still going.
There's no blueprint for me to follow. I'm building my own blueprint.
That's crazy. Yeah. And
maybe I might stumble and make a wrong move, but I'm willing to do that in front of y'all and build with it. So that was part of even doing the Elliott Wilson experience thing at Patreon. It's just like they reached out. Like obviously I know from Joe Budden like the creatives and how they empower creatives, and it was like, yo. You know, they partnered with me and like they believed in what I'm trying to do. And I'm just like, yo, let me try to pursue this side of it and like have an outlet for me to get my own content. At the same time, I don't have it all figured out. But at the same time, I feel like it's time for me to like try different things and to grow because I still love the culture and I still want to document it. So, you know, I hate when they try to project their vision of me of like, oh, he's a legend, so he should move this way or he should be like... I feel like I want to still compete. Yeah. I don't care that my jersey's in the rafters. My jersey is in the rafters. But I still want to compete. I still want to be out in the court. I still feel like I could play. I'm not whack. I do dope shit. Tyler, the Creator interview is one of the best of the year. NBA Youngboy. Like I create great content. You know, so I have more to contribute.
I think the fact that you just said before, like a few minutes ago, when you tweet out your opinions, everybody goes crazy. I think that really does show that people really care about what you have to say. So clearly they're going to be tapped in for this next chapter. And for a long time I didn't
do that because I always used to joke and say, I'd be like, yo, I don't do it because it's like, that's a 6-figure job. Like, that's Stephen A. Smith. Like, you ain't paying me for that. So why do people always hit me on social media before that be like, well, Elliot, why don't you say how you feel? Because nigga, that's a check. Like, why am I giving it to you for free? That's a whole other revenue stream to me.
But have you realized that it's shifted a little bit? Like, so Draymond Green, he got this thing where he says old media versus new media. Right. And I think it's the approach. I think it's the people. I think it's the content. I think it's the distribution. I think old media versus new media is so much more than just age. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So do you feel like, all right, we're here. I may have been in this era. I want to compete in the current era. How do I bring that together? How do I bridge that together?
I think I show it by saying Elliott Wilson experience is like walk in my shoes. Like, I'm not this kid on the internet that's like just getting this shit off. Like I walk in a room, I'm impacting that room. I have relationships. If I go to Khaled's golf tournament, if I go to Rick Ross's pool party, if I go to fucking, you know, T.I.'s house and sit with him, like let's see how it is when Elliott actually walks in a room and how people treat, and also see how fans and people treat me when I walk in a room. Like it's not like I'm this person that's just built off the internet and I have a whole identity. It's like I'm a real person. I have real relationships. I demand respect. I move a certain way in the room. I'm not like this punk. Like I'm out here outside. No, if you see me, this is what it is. So it's like, let's show that.
Talk up on that.
Let's show that. Like let's show that. Like I'm that. I've dealt with the fires. I've dealt with threats. I've dealt with all that shit. Like for 3 decades.
Right.
So like, this isn't new to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is what it is.
But see, when you come off
beef with Drake, like nigga, what? Like I've been. You guys
had a previous beef years ago at OVO Fest, right?
Regi know.
I do my research.
Oh yeah, now I remember that one. Yeah.
We don't have to tap into it, but if you know, you know.
We ain't got to get into Drake yet. We will get there. Legit. We will get
You're
there.
not off the hook yet.
But I want to focus on your Patreon real quick.
Yes.
Your Patreon. So I watched a lot of your content, consumed a ton of your content from Crown to Rap Radar. Now you have Patreon. What is the difference between the three of those shows? Because it's you sitting down with prominent people in the culture, asking shit that we probably will never get an opportunity to ask. Sitting with people we'll probably never get. You know what I'm saying? So what's the difference? Because it just seems like you go from a stage to somebody's house to maybe a studio. Like, what's the difference?
I think that Elliott Wilson experience is about kind of a loose concept of like one camera person. It's like, you don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I was very deliberate about like, I'm not introing into the camera. I'm not outroing to the camera. It's more like you're like the fly on the wall of like, this is actually closest to my real life as you can see. Like, I roll up with Michael Bivins in Harlem, and he's telling me about his documentary he's putting out, and that's our conversation. So you be fly on the wall type of vibe where it's like, even with like when I was doing car tests, it was like, hey, it's Elliott Wilson, blah, 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 blah. And there's the outro. It's like, so I want Elliott to feel like organically like you're just tapped into like representation of what my real life could be. Right. You know, Rap Radar got to a point where Rap Radar is like so big, shout out to B-Dot, we're like the ultimate interview, right? So it's like, it's very standardized. It's like Elliott's here, B-Dot's here, the big guest is in the middle. We just do a quick intro. It's really an interview show. It's not a traditional podcast. So we set a certain standard with that, but this is my outlet for me by myself to kind of like explore things and like reflect my actual lifestyle of who I am, my connections.
I wish you would have said that on the rollout. Because I missed that.
Okay.
I didn't know. As somebody who follows your content, I'm like, all right, it's Elliott. He's about to go interview some more people.
You thought it was going to be Rap Radar?
Who can't Elliott interview?
I'm like, all right, this nigga interview everybody in the world. Now he's just going to do it in their home? Like, what's the difference? So I'm glad you kind of gave that
Isn't it crazy that there's such value in, I was saying it earlier, like, there's such value in, like, interviews at a point where the biggest stars don't want to do interviews. So has that raised the value of it? I guess I'm asking you guys. Like, it's so crazy of, like, how we're so driven by we want to see these great conversations, want to see the interviews with people. Like when the biggest stars feel like I don't have to do that to sell my record, right? So I'm not doing it, or I'm doing this one outlet. I'm choosing this, or if I'm Tyler, I'm choosing Rap Radar. If I'm Dirk, I'm choosing Academics because I promised him. Right. Or maybe I do Joe Budden, or maybe I do Drink Champs. Like I choose one thing if I do anything, and most don't. Like you don't expect Travis Scott to sell 500,000 records and then do an interview. No, he did the whole Charlamagne with the Astroworld tragedy, but like you don't expect him to be like he has to do an interview part of his album coming out and selling 500,000 copies. Like it's just like it's crazy in this world how it is, but the audience still is insatiable and they want great interviews and content.
I think
it's a weird time we're in.
To answer your question, I think it has raised the value of an interview because it's just quality over quantity. Because I do believe that Drake, you know, him doing Bobbi and the Lil Yachty interview, that was just him being silly. He just wanted to do content. But when he really has something to say, maybe in a year or two, I really do believe he will go to you again. So
I don't think so.
When he really, I think so. Stop. Why?
That was my man. I got to keep it 100.
I was trying to have a nice moment.
I think it's over.
I think when he's looking for a real interview, I really do believe when he has something to say, he will go to a real journalist, and that will be like.
But do you think that Rap Radar is like his definitive interview? Right?
I think that's the one that we all identify.
I didn't ask,
you feel me?
I just want to say one thing for the record. I did not ask him for another interview. That's
what Streets was saying.
Like, I do not know how to top what we did. So I don't even know how to ask him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is a certain like I think like sequels don't work. Like Godfather 2 is the last great sequel. Most sequels suck. Like how do you top what it was? Like Rush Hour 2, you got that?
That's the best sequel.
Godfather 2.
He did kind of go crazy. And you want to know what it is?
Ones though. And
I don't know how to top what we did there. So I don't even know that. Like I was saying, but like I just saw the thing with the girl and I was just like, this is like I had a real reaction when I said that. Okay. It was like I didn't think of the ramifications. I just was really like
you just tweeted your feelings.
I just tweeted my feelings where now I'm at a point now where I could do that. I'm not executive anymore. I can just do whatever the fuck I say. Like but I didn't even realize the ramifications of that. And then now in this era, what it means to be for the Drake or whoever, like the image of that, right? So then you have all these young video content creators and they're creating their own content based off your conflict and they take a picture of you, a picture of Drake, and a picture
we're going to do that with this
SaVon.
episode. We're going to do that right here.
And it's like, we're off and running. And it's just like, yo, dog, who are you? Like, to comment on
my shit.
This
But
shit.
people care about Elliott's opinions.
Yeah, they do, though. I do think interviews are a big deal now because the rollouts now are very much TikTok, go pay this person, go promo over here, go promo over there. Whereas the interview is where it's like, okay, sure, we can remove parts of that they don't want included, but you still get to hear their actual personality.
And fans want that, right? Fans, if you love an artist, you actually want them to have a definitive great interview that represents them, right? I think that's what gets lost. So I say that to Kendrick or J. Cole. Like, I don't think they've done that. At least I've done that with Drake. Like, I challenge a Kendrick or J. Cole.
You ain't send no shots at them?
I don't know. What
is that a shot?
No.
I'm just saying. But they don't have that, and I think there's value to that.
I think the interviews that J. Cole has done with Angie Martinez, I really do think that
they're close to that. You're right.
You don't think that's the one though? Because as a really big J. Cole fan, I watched that and I love that interview. You don't think that's like that?
No, it is. It, honestly, he did a great one, Combat too. Combat Jack, shot Combat Jack. Rest in peace, Combat. And that wasn't fully on video, but you're right. Cole's done that. I don't think Kendrick's done it even close, but. I'll give that to with Cole.
And I feel like the youth really talks about what they see, right? Granted, there's a demo of people that watch the Angie interviews, your interviews, right? But I also feel like there's a certain demo there that necessarily maybe isn't reposting about or tweeting about it as much, so it kind of like looks a little bit different. I wanted to ask you, as a journalist, right? Do you feel like you should speak for others, or you're supposed to have your own opinion? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've always been a little bit confused as that, because sometimes when you read articles and write-ups, you don't know if someone is supposed to be trying to speak for a group of people or maybe just what they think. And if so, have you ever kind of felt, isolated by your personality?
People say all the time, they're like, yo, when you ask that question, you didn't challenge him. You didn't challenge him on this shit. Like, no, I don't, like, that's what that person's opinion is. Whether I disagree or not, it's like, I think you kind of have to play to your subject, right? I think there's a way to, like, challenge people, but at the end of the day, it's like you're trying to capture what they stand for. You're not trying to necessarily correct them. Let's say my man is dead ass wrong, how I feel about it, but like, I'm not here to make you understand why you're wrong. I'm here to like provide the platform
for you to
to tell your truth.
Right.
Okay.
That's my job. My job is to deliver your truth to the world. So yes, I may not stand by what homeboy said or homegirl said at that point, but my point is like, Elliott didn't challenge the person, but tell him why he's wrong. No, he's living in his what I think is wrong and you think is wrong, but that's what that person is. So I think our job is to like create the platform to tell their truth. Like, I'm not here to make you appealable to the people, right?
So when you say tell your truth, right? So we had a debate on the podcast. Alex, he's on the side of the youth. He's like, kill the traditional interview.
No, I didn't.
What'd you say?
He did not say.
I said,
me and Alex were low key more on the same page, but
so help me out.
Okay.
So, no, I got you. So, because shouts to Drake. I do know Drake is nearing 40. You feel what I'm saying? So for me,
is he?
Yeah,
he's pushing 40.
He still looked 25 at this point, right? But to me, it kind of looked like just taking a step back. The types of platforms he's trying to hit and the markets he's trying to hit. I don't think it's necessarily him not trying to show love to our culture, or et cetera, or more so like realizing like, yo, the kids born in 2010 is getting a little older.
Yes.
They're gonna watch the Bobbi interview.
Yeah.
That's why he said to me, the youth took over, big dog.
Right.
It's like he's adapting and I'm not. And that's the jab he gave me.
But now you was 10 toes doing Rolling Loud interviews. You was adapting.
Shout out to Yes Jules.
Yeah, you was adapting. And honestly,
shout out to Yes Jules, man.
I didn't think that was a big deal. If the world and Drake didn't tell me that was a big deal, Elliott, I would have thought nothing of it. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, I thought I said the guy Tarek who runs Rolling Loud. He said, I think because of the Tyler the Creator interview and the impact we had on that, he was like, "Yo, I want to bring you, big dog, to this shit. Like, I want to take it to another level." So that's what I was brought in to do, and it's like, yo, that's like Rolling Loud is like the Super Bowl of hip hop. The shit is in Miami. It's like I never been to the shit, so if you gonna hire me to do it and you pay me my proper situation, the manager dealt with him. It was like it got right. I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna go pull up and like have a good time. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal. I just felt like he wanted to express it publicly, like the behind the scenes shit we were going through, and that was the way to do it. So he did it that way.
Got you.
So you still haven't said Bobbi's name, her name, right? I noticed that. I know you don't know, but you know her name,
yes,
right? And I feel like you purposely probably haven't said her name. Did you feel a way about the interview?
I felt the way when I saw it. I didn't know. Again, when I tweeted whatever I tweeted, that was the initial reaction of like, I wake up, okay, he's doing some other non-hip hop shit. I don't like it. It looks weird to me.
And you said you had to stand on.
That was my real reaction.
Okay.
To be fair, people have said it's actually good. You know,
I found it very. We just said it earlier that we like seeing entertainers' personalities. We really saw Drake's personality. I feel like during that.
That's what he said to me. He's like, he was
being
like,
goofy.
that's a friend of mine. Yachty's a friend. That's why he was mad at me for critiquing them, because he was like, yo, she's cool, she's a friend. I mean, I've heard they unfollowed each other now. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Like, but at that time, I was like, yo, that was just my initial reaction. It wasn't a big editorial decision of like, oh, this is not quality. This is like, I just saw the optics, and I knew he had did the whole Barstool weirdo shit and like this shit. And like, I was just like,
he's slick hating right
now.
I was on the side of slick hating right now.
Okay, now say
that was my reaction.
Yeah, I know.
I apologize, and again, hip hop shits on apologies because it seems weak and corny. Jay-Z apologized to Nas or the baby mama.
We
like you can't apologize in hip hop without seeming like some shit. Like
in 2023,
but I should have before you. I should have at least let him know how I felt before I put it to the world.
Got you.
And understand that power of like, okay, now if it goes to the world, everybody weighs in. It becomes its own thing. So
yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Rez.
Oh no, I was just about to say to your apology point. I feel like in 2023, now that we've lost a lot of legends, life is short. People are a lot more sentimental now. I feel like people kind of appreciate apologies. Do you not think so?
They didn't appreciate mine.
I appreciated it.
There's a lot of content based on mine.
Yeah, apologies.
What does it mean that Elliott Wilson apologized? Like, I'm on Vlad TV or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Like,
come on, apologies ain't salacious.
What's the reason behind the apology? Is because when I hear you apologize, so my affiliation, my introduction to a lot of people is Joe Budden, right?
Sir, right?
So I take a lot of what he does because I had a first-hand experience, like a fucking front row seat to how he operates, how he moves, the decision he makes. Like I was there. So let me not speak for Joe, but he has prided himself on not interviewing guests, right? And a part of that is so he cannot be compromised as a media personality. Right. So when you say, hey, I apologize to Drake, let bygones be bygones, is it because you want to really keep that relationship intact? Do you want another interview? Like, what's the reason behind apologizing for doing what you did?
Because he's looked out for me. Nobody's had more Drake interviews than I have. I've had like 5 or 6, what the fuck, and definitive moments with him, right? So he's a star of this level stature. He's given me all this. So out of respect, I should have at least let him know how I felt before I let it out to the world. Simple as that. Genuine. Now, what does that mean down the road? Does it get like Alex thinks that never's gonna resolve it anyhow, and it may not. It may not. But that doesn't matter. It's like at the end of the day, it's like I built a rapport with Jay where we're at that point, right?
Right.
Jay-Z's actually my friend in real life. So I would have done the same with him with those behind the scenes conversations. So that's all it means. It's just like here's the thing about Joe. Even if Joe doesn't interview people per se, as you probably know, whatever Joe says, his phone's ringing. People are he's accountable to what he says, like because he has power, impact, and influence. So he's got to massage or whatever, deal with these like reactions to what his view of people are on his platform, regardless, whether he interviewed them or not.
But I ain't gonna front.
So you have to manage that all the time, like because what you say matters. If you have that power where what you say matters, that if I say this, all of a sudden that's the headline on this. Like niggas is still talking about me and Drake. Like how many weeks ago was it? I'm
gonna tell you why though, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you why, Big Ellie.
Tell Big Ellie why.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why. You come off as the dude that took 5-6 cookies out the jar, right? 5-6 interviews, right? And then when other niggas came to come take some cookies, wasn't no cookies left.
Is this true?
Because the baker ain't want to make none left.
Do you agree or no?
So maybe coming from you because you had 5-6 of them, it's like, well, damn, L, you
like greedy?
Yeah, came off like you not full. Yeah, you not full. Yeah, you feel me? Because you
That's
L.
fair.
And he respects you. I know he does.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair. I mean, I agree with that. Like, but again, but then the other side of it, like I was saying earlier, like I'm also protective of our culture. Like I feel like I hate when it's like you can't sit with us because you want that validation from outside our culture. Like I get that the awkward, weirdo, non-hip hop interview shit is trendy.
He hating it.
I love it.
Trendy.
Like, I love it.
I get that, but at the same time, it's like I think you'd have to have a balance, right?
Sure.
Like, Yachty could do full send, but then he did sit with act. Like that's the balance.
That's been my whole argument on this podcast.
There's got to be a balance.
I feel like I need a balance.
Doing a balance.
I don't care who you talk to, right? It doesn't have to be YN again. It doesn't have to be Elliott.
That's what I was saying. I was genuine when I said that.
Anybody else, but when I see you sit with Billie Eilish,
and you promise these people these interviews, you promise drink champs, you promise
it's rap. Oh, we do love.
Okay, but like, can we give him a chance to have the balance? So he did one interview with Bobby, and now
he's a trend of a non-hip hop.
But now, who knows? In a few months, he would have done drink champs. Like we don't know that there could have still been that balance.
You don't think so?
Drake, you're
But L, you don't think the balance is all the years that he's giving to platforms from the culture, the 10+ years, even, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he did
maybe
one Bobby interview.
Maybe the next run is balancing out for the youth, right? Isn't that balance as well? Couldn't that be seen as balance?
Elliott's like, no.
I know. Sip on your drink. Big Elliott.
I don't know. I just think that people are very selective. Like you said, we talked about earlier, it's like, it's rarer to get an interview regardless, right? Because it's such a hidden gem now. Like I guess like we said earlier, Reg was saying, like, the interviews have a higher value now because it's so little. Like, the big stars feel like they don't have to do it.
Right.
I come from an era where it's like, you got an album coming out, you got to do the cover story, right?
Yeah.
You got to do the interview somewhere. You're going to do the XXL cover, you're going to do the Vibe cover. Like, you have to do something to sell your record. Now you don't anymore. So I think the interviews and everything gets more, the stakes are higher, I guess, is what it comes down to. So
I feel like the reason the stakes feel so high, so in the NBA or just in culture in general, we got NBA players, football players interviewing each other, right? They've been in the game. Again, I'm going to reference Joe a lot. I got to see him interview countless of people.
Mad people.
Because they know what it's like. He knows what it's like to be a rapper.
I think Joe's a big influence in that. He doesn't get credit for that. These players, these NFL players, NBA players, everybody got a podcast. Yeah. I think Joe is actually a definitive influence of that and doesn't get his credit.
Well, Jeff T gave him his credit.
Yeah, Jeff T was the one who finally said it.
Yeah, he was like, I started this shit because of Joe Budden.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's kind of hurt you in the space, being a journalist, being
that
media?
was always like there was the Howard Cosell shit of like, I never played the game. Like, Howard Cosell did a book of I never played the game. So in some ways I view myself as a Howard Cosell where Jay-Z might be a Muhammad Ali, right? So yeah, I didn't rap. I'm not from that, but I'm enough from that DNA of understanding Run DMC and being a fan of the culture. Like, I wasn't a former artist. Like, there's certain value to being a former artist of what you do. Like, you can have a real candid conversation because you do what I've done before, right? You understand my plight, right? That's why Nori wins. Like, Nori was like that guy, and then like he was the hot rapper. He was the hottest rapper in 1998.
Yeah.
So he always has that cachet and what it is. There's a challenge to someone like me who's like, just been a fan, been a journalist, that's from that. So I take that on. Like I understand that. Like, and it makes sense now. Like, I used to be mad. It's like, because it bugs me out though. Like, because like in my era, like Joe Budden, Nori, Gilly, Fat Joe, Mano, loved them to death. They were like they were knuckleheads. It was the hotheads, right? You know what I'm saying?
So now they're doing interviews.
So the media wasn't cool. So for now to become like media and embrace it fully,
it's pretty crazy.
It bugs me the fuck out.
But be honest though.
The roles have reversed.
Right? It's crazy to me.
Do all the opinions piss you off, Al?
Huh?
Do all the opinions? Is this mic working? Because you came up in an era where you kind of had to be aligned with a bigger media company.
I started being cool to be a journalist with the whole XXL shit. Like, it wasn't cool to be a journalist. You was just some herb. Watch yourself. It was some herb shit of like, you know, you wrote a bad review. Who's this nigga? Find him at the party and stomp him out. That's journalism in the 90s.
You come from that shit. Gangster.
Yeah, it's like, yo, so for the fact that journalism's now, media is now cool is a different turn.
Right.
And I was the first with the YN XXL thing, I think, to like make it cool in a sense because I had a purpose. I wanted to like be on top. I wanted to beat the source and. Like, so it bugs me out there. A lot of the ones that were like, it's the ones you don't think. It's just like for Joe Budden to get and to have that dedication. Like, and I respect it. Like, the thing about Joe is like Joe really made the transition. The nigga really stopped rapping.
Facts.
Yeah.
This nigga really dedicated himself.
Facts.
And he became this media person and like puts the work in.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see that coming to that level of dedication. No.
Why didn't you, during that whole era, like you said, Nori, Joe, Mano, Fat Joe, when they was in their prime, it was radio driven, right? That was the era of radio. You had to get on the radio to be a star, to make the hits. You had to be on radio, right?
Yep.
Why didn't you ever transition to radio? Because I see a lot of your
God,
contemporaries
I'm about to unpack
from like
Let's go.
Angie Martinez, the Sways, the Big Boys.
Yeah,
like,
and he was, but
you're here now today.
Don't roll your eyes either.
Why didn't you get into that radio space?
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna let you answer, but what I immediately thought of was he listed, you know, your peers, and they were on the radio, but this man was running the magazine game. Right. That's what I think of.
No, but I tried to make the transition. There was
there was
a lot of roadblocks. Like, I think it was very much like
gatekeepers.
Systematically, gatekeeping that kept me out of that space, SaVon. Like, I definitely tried many different ways to crack that.
But we got 50 states, though. I'm gonna need you to go a little bit deeper than that.
Connecticut? Want to show Connecticut?
You could have got money over there.
Tri-state, you know.
I didn't want to do that.
Could have got money in Detroit.
No, but to answer your question, like, I wanted to do the broadcasting thing, and I tried a lot of ways, and I think a lot of doors got blocked for me in that transition. Like, I think I wasn't embraced that way. And then I started doing the independent thing. I did East Village Radio, which is like an independent radio thing. And before the whole like Apple Music radio thing they have going on now, it was ahead of its time. Shout out guy Peter Ferraro who started it. And I got Drake to show up to that. It was basically like a small ass studio on First Avenue and First Street, literally in the East Village. Yeah. And I got Drake to pull up, and we talked about at the height of the whole him and Chris Brown. And he talked all that shit.
Wow, yeah.
Blah, blah. Like, so, yeah, those other aspects of it, I think there was a lot of people that kept me out of those rooms. I tried my best. And, like, around the time of that ascension, kind of the whole Breakfast Club thing took off, too. So, there was definitely a lot of roadblocks of, like...
And Breakfast Club was one of those shows where you knew, like, listen, man, the only way this is going to end is if they leave.
No, for real, because
coming up, we're a little younger, right? Yeah. Being in college, you're looking at the media companies and who you maybe want to align with and who maybe where you want to apply to. You go, well, damn, man, I don't know how long it might take to be up in there. Do you feel
like I thought Sirius XM was gonna be my thing? It's like I brought Jay called in with did the vibe cover with Angela Yee.
Shout out to Sway.
Shout out to Angela Yee. Angela Yee is the first one actually who she's the one who kind of presented my laugh to the world. Like I was like,
she did that?
I was like, she don't get enough props. Shout out Angela Yee. At the height of her, like after Cypher Sounds left, and she's doing Shade 45, she's taking over the morning show.
Right.
They don't want to fully give her credit because she's a woman. They're fronting, even though she's multi-talented. She, as Rez knows, she's fronting on the woman. Don't want to say she's running this shit. She's running this shit. She's dope. She was asking for like, male co-hosts to come up, blah, blah. I think Charlamagne did it back then, Joe Budden. I did it too. So we had a great rapport. I was coming up there being a co-host at times, me and B-Dot, different things.
Yeah.
And like, she created a whole laugh drop of my laugh and started playing the drop. And they have it since day. Like, Breakfast Club played it the other day when they was dissing me about the whole Drake shit. Like, they played the drop, and Envy's like, that's Elliott Wilson drop. Where did the laugh drop come from? Like, that's in their system. They have an Elliott Wilson laugh drop in their system.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Angela Yee. So my point is, like, Angela really looked out at that point where it was like, she recognized me, my talent, and like, when I was really trying to do the radio thing, and it's just like, it didn't work out. Then after she had left, I didn't end up getting the morning show. It went to Sway. So there was a lot of parallel with me in radio. And that's why I'm always a little bit maybe extra defensive of like how you judge media, because I feel like I said before, like I feel like I'm a journalist. I'm a king of an era, magazine era that doesn't exist anymore. So it's easier to praise radio broadcasters because it's still very tangible. Sway is still Sway. Angie Marr is still Angie Marr is. Right.
What about TV? You ever tried to dabble in the TV? Because again,
different incarnations,
interchangeable. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We had a whole run with Crown when MTV2 came along, where we did like 3 or 4 episodes with that. Like, just not consistent.
Wait, didn't you do?
We did the White Rapper Show. That was
and
legendary.
The Female Rapper Show.
Yeah, that was Female Rapper Show. Like different things with TV, but like this hasn't been the exact pinpoint thing per se.
But I think it's just all divine timing, because although I know you tried the radio route and it didn't exactly work out for you, but that's why everything else fell into place, because who knows if Rap Radar and Crown would have been as big if you were on the radio every day. So do you still have any kind of not regrets, but just thoughts about that, or are you at peace with everything that
I'm not here to be at peace. I'm here to keep working and figure out what the next thing is. I don't know. Like maybe it'll be TV. Like, and even what is TV right now, right? Like what does MTV play for us anymore? Like we don't even know what the fuck. Yeah, it's like I guess like. So yeah, no, Reg, my point is like I keep the door open. I don't.
Oh no, I don't mean at peace as if you're gonna stop. But with that era, do you still think about like, damn, I should have been on radio?
Oh yeah, I don't live in. The regret. I'm real with Jay-Z where they got learn to live with regrets. I don't have any real regrets per se. Like I don't think I did nothing wrong per se. I think that the timing wasn't aligned for whatever that was for me. Like I accept it. So my thing is I feel like I have more to still do, and what does that look like in this era? Like I'm more focused. Like I'm still on the marathon. I'm still running.
I
don't look back at it like, oh, I should have done like. I'm still moving.
Where does that come from? Because that is your whole thing. You're like, I'm keep going. I'm 52. I'm going.
He was born on January 14th. Yeah. What you mean, bro? He was born on January 14th. Of course.
Legendary. SaVon.
Does that come from something, or that's just how you were born? Like simply how you're born, or does it come from something?
My mommy and daddy told me I was special, man.
I love that. I'll take
Victoria.
It. I'll take that in. I
was a project baby, apartment 1A, Woodside Projects, but I felt like I could be a goddamn superhero. Like my dad was playing baseball, and he thought he could be a pro player. I thought my dad is Reggie Jackson, and I'm gonna be a fucking baseball star. I'm gonna be Derek Jeter. I'm gonna be the biracial shortstop of the New York Yankees. And then the baseball shit didn't work. 15, 16, I was tired of practicing. I was like.
And I do like that.
My dad was pissed at me. I was like, I can't do this shit no more. I'm not gonna be a
Let me go right.
Let me go right. And it was sports writing at first. Like I was like, I'm gonna be Oscar Madison, sports writer, Warner Wolf, all the time, Al Cosell. Yeah. And then I saw the Source magazine. I was like, that's what I want to do: music writing, hip hop.
You did it.
There's a place for that shit, and I want to have the mics, and I want to get every album before anybody gets it. And I want to give the mics, and I want to be the authority of the culture. Like, that's what I wanted from that, and I feel like in some ways I'm still that. Like I wanted to be that when it moved that way. So I'm just in it. That's my path. It's not a job to me. It's my actual life. Like that's my life.
Just one more question, so because you did that.
One more, Reg. We're not going nowhere.
At age 25, you accomplished that. Editor at The Source, and now 25 years later, you're still going. So, are you ever going to be satisfied, or are you going to always keep going? Like, are you ever going to be like, I did it? Or because to a lot of people, you are regarded as the GOAT of journalism. So is that enough for you ever?
I think you could feel, I did it and still be in the race. That's how I feel. I definitely feel, I did it.
You did? Okay, I just wanted to know. Do you know that, you know? Okay.
I killed The Source. Like, you don't understand what that was. Like, this is a magazine that was selling 500,000 copies of a newsstand.
I interned there in 2017. It was definitely not what your era. It was a little different. No shade. It was definitely very different from Ryan era.
You know, that's funny because I have like little homies that, you know, they're in school for journalism right now or media studies and shit. And I tell them, I'm like, yo, if you don't want to put 300% into it, especially now, don't even do this shit. Especially because of job security.
Yeah.
When I remember being in college wanting to get a job at Vice. Now Vice isn't Vice,
right?
I remember like the
there's no magic place. That's the point too.
Is that part of the reason why you always saw on the go-to? Because you kind of know what the industry is like?
That's what I think. Like point. So about Red's like, there's no magic place anymore, right? There's no magic job. There's no magic place to ascend to. Like if I could just be the EIC of this or that, like so. We're all in the same race of like, all I have is who I am and what I represent, and let me just express it, and it'll land where it's gonna land ultimately, right? Like, so I don't know what the Elliott Wilson Experience Patreon thing is. Just a first step of me like reclaiming my shit and like, I'm the brand. I represent a certain standard. Where's it gonna land ultimately? I don't know, but I'm committed to like showing that side of it. That what I do is very unique and different than what everybody else does. My relationships are different. My content is a high quality. And I had to get right with that too. Like I come from an era where like XXL is like, I could say I'm the best because I also did the biggest numbers, right? Like I don't do the biggest numbers anymore, right? Like the Young Boy Rap Radar does 2.4 million. That's an anomaly. Like we don't do numbers like maybe Joe does or Academics does, but I stand by my quality. I can still say my shit is the best. Like the best doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest. Like a lot of people go to McDonald's, but doesn't mean it's the biggest restaurant in the fucking planet. It's just like
fully agree.
Like so I have to understand that like maybe the best in my version of that isn't the biggest, the tangible number of like if the Source sold this, I gotta sell this to beat them.
Right.
So I just believe in the quality of what I'm doing and what makes me different and unique and my place in it. And I want to just create the content. I know for a fact the public wants content. They're insatiable.
That's true.
So if I keep delivering quality content, it's gonna open all these type of doors for me. To me.
And you speak about opening the door. That's why I'm confused that I don't see you on Ebro in the morning or even the Breakfast Club. Even if y'all just chopping it up, why I don't see you on those types of platforms? What's so funny, El?
He did go on the Breakfast Club.
Did your homework?
That's my man.
I like that.
That's my man, Ellie.
He was looking for the interview. He was like, where they at?
Yeah, I was looking for the Ebro in the morning.
It's been a minute.
I remember you did the Breakfast Club with B-Dot.
But I think when you say that there's not a platform that people are like reaching for, I think the equivalent to that would be independence, a partnership. I think it's no longer I gotta get on the Breakfast Club. I remember that was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be Complex. I
100%.
wanted the Power 105. That's what I wanted
Vice,
to be. You wanted to be at Vice, like you said. There were certain platforms, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, where it's like I need to get there to make my mark.
Right.
Today, there's people who've shown us like you don't need that. You need them to come to you and want to work with you as a partner, as a brand, as licensing deal, whatever it is. I need a little bit of ownership. right?
Yeah.
I need a little bit of creative control.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to repurpose the content. I think a lot of people don't talk about repurposing your content. And I think that's really where you, Rap Radar, y'all are able to repurpose so much content. And I don't know the inner workings of what it is that you have, but I will tell you this, as a fan, as a legit fan, I think there's a missed opportunity that you have this whole back catalog
that canon
I
of
can't
content.
just go to YouTube and binge your shit. I'm not even a YouTube baby, but that's just what I do. When I go on YouTube, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
I was looking for some Rap Radar stuff on Apple. You gotta pay, you gotta subscribe to certain interviews,
for the
right?
rewinds.
Yeah,
shit,
for the rewinds,
yeah.
you gotta, and niggas got bills. You know what I'm saying? We all can't do it. We all can't do it. As much as I want to hear you talk to the game and Snoop Dogg, like I may not have the $6.99 that week. I just might not.
But the
right?
thing is, SaVon does have that $6.99.
Yeah, I'm talking for the people right now.
He got it. Don't
He
let him
tucking
fool
that in,
you.
Reg.
But at the same time, it's like y'all have such a back catalog, and I think there might be a missed opportunity where the people who want to know you, who want to know these artists, they can't access it. I think that was also like, again, going back to, I've been a student of this shit for a very, very long time. Like, I've been watching this shit thoroughly. I really don't believe, the same way you feel like niggas can't fuck with you, I really don't believe niggas can fuck with me when it comes to just the knowledge and the space of this pot. They really can't. And so when I talk about your content, like there's so many moments that the culture has missed because the title situation, right? I talked about you
Behind
being
the
tied
paywall.
to
Yes,
brands.
exactly.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like I'm a convenience guy. Fuck Apple. I'm a convenience guy.
Absolutely.
Apple provides me convenience. So that's where I'm at. Title is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So when you did that, when you and B-Dot did that, I think it may have...
It hurt it a little bit. Yeah.
It did.
So, yeah, you're
Inevitably.
right. But I was at Tidal at the time, so it was like it was the right move to help my
home
position
team.
as an executive too, to bring it behind that, to benefit that brand, to help build that brand. But you're like, now people are used to it being that level of free consumption that is everywhere. Like, again, we haven't been like, Rap Radio's never been the traditional podcast that comes out every Wednesday at this time and delivered on all platforms. So that's hurt us a little bit, but like you said, like I'm very proud of the catalog because I feel like it's some of the most amazing content, my definitive interviews. Shout out to B-Dot. And I think there's still values to that. Like even now, like I see kids rip the reels and put it in, and they may zoom in and scoop me out the shot. But it's your shit. But it's you. That's my young Dolph, man.
And
I be
everyone's
hitting with the
commenting.
hashtag
They're
Rap Radio
commenting like,
Podcast trophy. Like, Young Dog, that's me. But like no, but like you said, SaVon, like I feel like there's still ways to kind of present that because there's been time lost where the connectivity wasn't there. Yeah, that's very fair to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
And is there opportunity for you guys to like repurpose it? Because I would love
Maybe
for there to be
Patreon?
just a Rap Radar clips page. Like every podcast has a clips page.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
we know a
the
guy that
brilliant-
could cut them for you, you know?
Facts.
Gotta.
From Brilliant Idiots to fucking Joe to Joe Rogan, everybody has where they can just get short, segmented, fragmented content because you guys do long form interviews, right?
Yep.
The attention span is not there, unfortunately.
Yep.
For me, it is.
Yep.
I'm a commuter,
Yep.
right? I work from home, so I have the time to actually listen to a 2-hour interview from Elliott and B-Dot.
Yep.
But most people my age and younger, they don't have that.
They also used to consuming it that way.
Just quick and easy. So is there a way for you, B-Dot, whomever it is, to like get in the forefront of that, to repurpose it, to monetize it, to also push it as your brand? Because like you said, you'll see a Nipsey interview, you'll see a Young Dolph interview, you see a Hove interview.
They'll
you see a
grab
Will,
pieces of it,
You'll
yeah.
see all of it, but I won't see you. You know what I'm saying? So is there a way, or have you even thought about repurposing it with your stamp on it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got to revisit it and get it right. Like you said, it's like definitely a fault of ours because as we grew with the situation, our path was way atypical to the other podcasts, which has hurt us in the long run. But I think there is still that because I feel like a lot of the content is still very timeless. Like it's historic, it's timeless. Like you're not going to get Jay-Z, Drake, Will Smith, Nipsey Hussle, these type of people.
What a
on the
run.
Look at the
platforms.
resume.
What a
And that
run.
shit.
What a fucking run.
Hey, pick
What
them
a
names
run,
up.
man.
Pick them names up.
Dropped it in.
Yeah, you dropping mad shit, nigga.
He just
Yeah.
fired that off like mad casually.
going
Like,
right.
is there anybody? I'm sorry, you probably get this question all the time, but is there somebody that you haven't interviewed yet? Because you just pretty much named everybody's dream interview.
industry.
You interview big, right?
I did Big E for magazines back in the day. Ego Trip and Herb.
Say word.
When they say that though, like, because they always draw the Sway thing against me. Sway talked to Big E. I talked to Big E. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but watch
it wasn't a camera.
Watch your mouth. That's my man.
Called magazines. Yeah. I love Sway. But you know what I'm saying? I didn't interview Pac.
Right.
I did interview
Angie.
Biggie. Yes, Angie got
that
Pac.
one. And that story is fire,
She
too.
gonna pop it out.
He's still tight. That nigga said, fuck Pac.
Nobody says that. Every time I jump and say, yo, I'll do a versus against anybody. Like, do a versus of, like, my interviews against anybody. Everybody's like, but Angie got that Pac, though.
That's
the Benjamins.
That's that Benjamin.
She wrote about it in her book, and, it was such a good story. She flew
I'll make her put it
there.
out, right? The full thing. Boom. But, like, what we talking about?
Do you feel like you haven't interviewed anybody yet that you want to interview?
Yeah, the ladies act, the Beyonces, the Rihannas, the ladies actually run the shit. Like, that's the standard. Like, Or even Kendrick in this era, like the new version of Kendrick.
I would love to see you and Missy.
Yeah, too. Yeah, I've tried for my same name, 2 L's, 2 T's.
She
won't sit with me.
It could be Elliott Squared.
Elliott Squared.
I would love to see that. No,
that'll be legendary. I tried. I never interviewed Lauryn Hill too. Yeah. A lot of ladies, really. Actually, it's really not trying to pander. I'm being real. The ladies. Beyonce, Rihanna, Lauryn Hill, Missy Elliott. They're probably top 4. Kendrick's there too, because no one's captured Kendrick post TDE where he's at. So he's a standard, but a lot of the other ones are really women, honestly.
I know you're not genuinely pandering because I don't know. I was waiting for one to bring this up, but Elliott has been a very helpful person in my life. I don't know if you know this, but in like 2017, 2018, which is like 6 years ago by now, I used to DM this man on some like. I checked the first one before today. It was very respectful. It was like, you're such a legend. Just thank you for everything that you've done. And I remember we had a conversation once, and the thing that I remember the most is you saying that Nicki Minaj is the best. Like, you're top 10, fully, no dispute. So I know you're not pandering because you've always shown love to the ladies. So, yeah.
And when you said that, I wanted to argue. I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to argue the Nicki Minaj point.
No, he's always said that. That's my point. Yeah,
but I still want to argue it. But I'm gonna tell you why. No. I kind of agree with it now. Because, she has the lyricism, but it's also where she took it. The dollars
she carried it.
The dollars that was made. Like,
we talking about Nicki as the GOAT of female rap?
Yeah. I can see where you coming from. Like,
I do. Yeah. But it's hard in this era because the problem now is I say that, right? I stand by it. Like, I think Nicki's the GOAT of female rap. Whether you like the commercial shit or not, like, her run is unprecedented. Her stats are like this. So, but I also think that Cardi is the best right now. Cardi's delivery, like, whether or not every bar is her, we don't know, whatever. Like,
I don't even give a
fuck.
fuck.
Her delivery is phenomenal, and like, she made the last great female rap album, which is the Invasion of Privacy album.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like she's the best now. So you can't even say Nicki's the GOAT and Cardi's the best now without the whole motorsport fucking
clash.
fan clash. Like, you can't praise them both because you can't even get props because you get a stray either way. It's like the Cardi fans or the Nicki fans, like, so you can't. But that's our reality. It's like, as much as you want to hype up female rap, it's like, that's still a high standard. Like, I love Lotto, I love all these ladies doing it, and we've never had as many ladies killing it, making big records and smashing the game. But it's going to take a lot to get to the Cardi Nicki level. Maybe Meg can get it coming off this whole situation. Like, Meg got the talent. Like, Lotto, I think, is like a heavy hitter. Like, she's determined. But like, let's give Nicki and Cardi their props of like the level that they've elevated the shit to. Like, I feel like it's a higher level.
You feel like Meg is gonna have another stride in her career after her with the Tory stuff?
I hope she does, because again, personal shit spills in. I think she has the talent and the drive to be that. And I don't think she fully challenged again this whole Nicki Cardi thing. So I think she has the most potential given all the circumstances. But Lotto's out there, different people out there. We'll see what happens.
I have wrote down the same question as Regi. I wanted to know, who was it that you haven't interviewed that you wanted to interview? Because it's easier for me to name all the people you have than it is the people you haven't.
Just rolling, man.
No, legit.
Let's talk about that again.
Yo, it's easier for me to name the people that
there's more people that he has
than haven't.
It's
like,
crazy.
That's fucking. It's unheard of.
That's why when I heard that you kind of took an exec approach, I wanted to know if that like changed your passion at all for like what you do on a daily basis. Like, did that change your workflow? Like, how did that look? Now it was kind of.
I just like SaVon said earlier. I think some of it was behind a paywall, so it probably didn't get to enough eyes as it would have if we were just like distributing. One thing I do regret, like you talk about YouTube, I regret that I didn't embrace YouTube properly from the beginning.
In the early days.
Yeah. I remember like doing the whole like flip cam before your phone could do everything and shooting shows, and like my whole first version of like post XXL was I'm doing Rap Radar, the website. I'm outside. Like here's a flip cam. I'm at the shows. I'm filming Bun B. Bun B's like, Elliott Wilson's in the house. Oh my God, Elliott Wilson. And I'm putting it up on YouTube. We don't own the rights to that shit. They're striking our shit, tearing me down. Like my Gmail to this day is banned from YouTube. Like so we do Rap Radar pages and they would fucking flag our shit, strike our shit, shut our shit down. So I didn't embrace YouTube culture early, which I should have. That's probably the biggest regret I have. And you know, like that's where the world went. Like you said, like I could have such a canon of content that was built through that, but now I'm catching up because it wasn't built that way, where it's like you should be able to easily accessible all the great content I've done over the years through a YouTube, because that's where most of the consumption comes from. So that's probably the biggest regret.
Well, do you have a deal with Instagram? Because
oh my God, Instagram.
Because I need to, because I saw in real time when your old page actually got deleted, and to myself that
you want the real story.
I want because you need to know how I feel, right? Because I do weekly music blog posts. I've seen you like them here and there.
Of course.
If I add a
He's like, thank you.
here and there, only every week.
I slipped a week.
You know, I don't play.
There.
You know,
He's like, yo, I'm showing love.
And let me tell you something I had to remove from like the music slides. If I post a music video that is obviously I don't own, they'll just take down the whole post. So how are you able to repost everything on Instagram?
I got my shit shut down. My drama was what can I say? Because a certain company had an issue and flagged my shit. I wasn't diligent about dealing with it, and basically my page got shut down. So ultimately, I settled with them. I paid them, and my page is back up. I got my name back, but I lost the followers.
You had to pay niggas?
Oh shit!
So I lost 200,000 followers.
Damn.
I started like zero.
Nah.
So now I got like 50K followers, but I had 250 back then.
I remember.
Yeah, I dealt with that. So
it's funny.
And they went after everybody. They went after academics. He took a hit. Everybody had to settle. Academics, Adam.22.
Wow.
They went after all of us. Whoever was like aggregator, curator type hip hop shit.
Yeah.
Paparazzi type shit. Those photos. Because
funny.
those guys sell the photos to the agency and then they shake people down for the money.
Wow.
I was looking on your Twitter and I saw the discrepancy between your Twitter followers and your Instagram.
Yeah.
But now that makes sense.
Same number was there. Yeah, it's all 250,000. But that was my
right.
solid base of like 250 across the board. So
Just a calm 250. So,
but here's the thing, I appreciate though that I feel like I still have some major influence, even my little 50K or whatever I have. Like,
little 50K.
I feel like I have the right people in my circle, right? And same thing with Patreon. What I love about Patreon is like, yo, I'm slowly building this, but I like to see who really rocks with me. Like, who's my core? Like, I like that direct consumer shit. I come from an independent magazine thing of like, okay, these 100 people, 200 people, whatever, like, they really fuck with me. Okay, let's take this and then grow. Like, I want to know what that looks like tangibly at this point in my career. 3 decades in, like, do you want my content? Do you fuck with me? Do you see what this is? Like, I know it's gonna grow from there.
I want to know what's in your rotation right now, man, because
Gunna.
oh my goodness.
Fuck you mean.
Fuck you mean, Alex.
I want to know, because y'all journalist cats, man, y'all just get to rate everything and just say how y'all. I want to know what's actually. What's in the Serato? Like, what do you listen to on a day? Are you an R&B guy? No.
Look, it's Hip Hop 50. I could go back and listen to my shit. Back in the day, I could listen to Rock Kim and shit.
No,
nigga.
he's like, give me an
it's
answer.
Hip Hop 50.
Yeah, give me 5.
My problem is like, you know what's funny? It's like I pride myself that I don't try to get so like. And Hip Hop 50 be pulling me because it's like, oh shit. Like I went to the Yankee Stadium shit, right? Massville shit.
That's fire.
So I got there about 7. Lupe's on stage. I'm getting a drink, and then like, you know, it's unorganized chaos and beautiful. What it is, what you expect, right?
Hip hop show.
Hip hop show. So we get there like, so me and my little brother Steven, like we're in the shit. We go to the front. I have some type of seat in the front, but no one's really sitting where they're supposed to sit. I'm just walking around, walking to the side. I'm seeing people like. I'm just gonna stand up and watch the show from this vantage point. Yeah. So I'm stood up from 7 p.m. to like 1 a.m. Run DMC didn't come on till like 1 a.m. like 1:10.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I heard.
But like those are my idols. Like Run DMC is like that's my changed my life. I'm 12 years old. Sucker MCs like they're from Queens. I'm from Queens. Like those are my superheroes. So I have to see these guys. And I see fans wearing Run DMC t-shirts. I damn near want to cry in 2023. Like, and they stayed. They didn't leave. Nas did a set. They stayed for Run DMC. Just that passion of the culture. So, but my point you said earlier is like, but I also try to not pull myself of like, I just want to listen to that old shit. I'm always pulled out of that. Like if I go on a run where I'm listening to like Run DMC and Rakim, I'm gonna go put on Gunna, I'm gonna put on Travis Scott because I want to stay in tune with the conversation now. So I almost don't even allow myself sometimes to get so nostalgic of like, I know I love that shit. I know it's classic shit. I know lyricism bars higher than whatever the current thing is, but like I don't allow myself to like get so lost in it because I will always like want to make sure
stay current.
I'm in tune with what's going on now.
I'm not going front. I'll be getting lost. But now with the new shit, right? I'm gonna give you a story. I was at the Rock the Bells Festival because I'm with Sirius now, and there was a point where I got to catch Queen Latifah's set. And we talking brought out Naughty by Nature, brought out Big Boy. And I'm just seeing the crowd, the demographic, maybe people in their 40s and older. And I just got to see how music back then really made them feel good. And it was fucking
empowered.
Yes, like it was fucking my whole head up, and I don't want to be that new nigga like, oh, you feel like all the new music is affecting the kids. And I don't want to be that cat, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the amount of good energy and good vibes I felt standing around all of those people. Like you've been here for this era and the last. Like, do you feel like the good feel good music 100%. Is missing? Yeah.
Well, I also feel like what the point you're making more to me is that there was more hurdles back then to even get your shit out to a certain level, right? Now, no one's stopping MC Alabama from putting his shit out, right? So back then, you had to like go through these doors to get your shit out. So it feels more empowered that like, oh shit, Latifah got to do a record on Tommy Boy and she made a single with Moni Love and they called it Ladies First. It's like there was a lot of steps that had to happen for that to happen. Now, those doors are open. Like you're judged more by the content once it comes out. Gotcha. Back then, you had more of a process to get the content out. So I think that's what you're feeling. Like, so we felt more loved by that because we felt like, yo, we're really challenging the whole system of like, yo, get this shit out. Like Queen Latifah's about to drop a debut album. You know what I mean? Like nowadays, the Kick a Joy album out, she didn't hit off. Like drop another one in 4 months. You feel me?
And I don't be mad at that. My whole thing is like, can y'all mix some like cookout rap in there? I don't feel like it always has to be that balance. I was like, I'm saying, like, I love the balance of it. You have to find that balance of it because I don't get too caught up in that either because it's like, yo, when it hits, but you have to find that balance of it, I feel. Facts. It's part of it, but it's very different.
You know who's doing that really well right now? Victoria Monet. She knows how to do that slow burn hit and like actually promote her record for more than 3 weeks. And that's why she's winning right now. She dropped an amazing video today. Twitter's going crazy, so do more of that, guys.
I'm glad you mentioned Victoria Monet. As a podcast, we embrace R&B.
Yes,
right?
Cool. That is us.
I'm an R&B guy, but as a collective,
love
R&B.
Yes, two-step game is strong up in here.
That's what I need. That's all I've ever needed in life was a two-step. Right? I see you drinking a little two-step. I don't do nothing more. But as a collective, we embrace R&B. So, Reggie, thank you for bringing up Victoria Monet. Elliott, for you.
We're trying to get her on Rap Radar podcast too.
Really?
She's out there.
That would be fun. Her fans are so happy for her.
B-Dot's been B-Dot's project, so she's out there, Victoria Monet. We're trying to have her
I believe in you.
I would love to see you embrace more of the R&B artists, even if it wasn't from this era. I feel like hip hop and R&B, maybe not so much today because it's kind of intertwined, right? Like the rappers today are including melodies, so they don't need the R&B guy on their hooks. But there was a time where the rapper wanted the singer wanted the rapper, right? There was a marriage between the two genres.
Right before I got here, I sat with like the coolest R&B nigga who's like borderline hip hop. Mike Bivens, New Edition.
Oh wow!
I sat with him. He has an amazing documentary coming out.
Okay.
So we sat in Harlem. Like he had curated the spot. We sat at a restaurant in the basement for the Elliott Wilson experience. We're gonna put this interview out. I want to push his documentary, him telling his story. Like Babyface also. Like shout out to his manager, Rika is the name. Sorry. Okay. Babyface, we did the Rap Radar with him, was legendary. So it's like, but the problem is sometimes the R&B shit doesn't do the numbers per se, right? Which is fucked up because that bugs me out though, because we love R&B, but it never does like those tangible like super duper numbers. But I think there's a balance that needs to happen. Like I said, we want to have Victoria Monet on the platform. We just did Janelle Monáe, which was great. It was a lot of love with her. Like she has so much respect for us as like journalists and like, because you know how it is like, these artists get so bummed because they go to these radio stations, they do this type of thing, like, you didn't really even listen to my album. It's just like, you want to talk about my titties is out. Like, did you hear my album? You know, track 7? Like, it's like, yo, dog.
Covered it up good.
It's like,
I think there was a moment, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. I think it was a Breakfast Club where Chloe from Chloe Halle, like Chloe Bailey was there.
Legendary,
and then she was like, do you know, like, can you name 3 of my songs? And they so listen to that album. Like, that's the bare minimum that you can do. But that's the secret
of Rap Radar is that Rap Radar is like, yo, I'm a journalist. That's a journalist. We listen to the music. We don't skim through it. We study the shit. We separately. We take our notes. We prepare for the interview. We have things written down, thoughts, topics, like you said, preparation. And then we come into the interview ready without consulting with each other.
It's journalism.
So I have my whole shit ready.
Without
got his version. And then it's always an aha moment with most artists. It's like, oh shit, these motherfuckers really
they know what's going on.
Like heard my album and like understand the third verse on the track 9. It's just like how that shit is still mesmerizing the people is crazy in this era. But it's like so much of it's not that because you could just grab from social media of like, oh, I should ask about this. Everybody's talking about this. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, do your preparation. Like, yo.
Yeah.
People make records, like, really listen to the records. Like, people, even when people talk about, I don't want to talk about this, they're going to talk about it in their music.
Song.
For sure.
Right?
For
so it's
sure.
like, you have to listen deeply and attentively and, like, how do you ask them about even sensitive subjects based off what they're already saying in their art? How to connect to that. Like, I think that's still very much a lost art. So I hope the next generation can look at that and be like, yo, listen to the music. Really, really listen to the music.
And artists get so excited when you're like, when you can reference a lyric of theirs and then they respect you and then they open up even more.
Absolutely.
And I remember under your Will Smith interview, the big one with 1 million views, people were commenting, oh my gosh, I love how knowledgeable the interviews are. They really did their research. I'm like, do you guys know that this is Elliott Wilson and Vida? Like, of course they did their research. Like, I just want to mention that. Like, I saw that today. I was
but
like,
it's crazy that that's a lost art.
Yeah,
like, I
it
feel
really
like,
is.
But even like, that's why I sat with y'all. I feel like y'all young podcasters, but like whatever, like, but like,
salute.
I respect the preparation. I feel like what you're doing, you're dedicated to it. It's like, it shines up, it stands out right away. People that are prepared are serious about it that aren't.
Salute.
Right? Because now podcasting got to the point, SaVon could probably says like, everybody's acting like it's drug dealing, you're gonna catch a lick. Like, facts. It'll be in my pod. It's like, episode 10. Give us the bag. We gotta move it. It's like, yo, dog, no, it doesn't work that way. Put the work in. You know?
Bro, how do we get back to music releases on Tuesday?
Yo, thank you. Thank you for asking.
How do we get back?
Here's the thing. Drop your shit on Tuesday.
So you'll be ahead of the
your
curve.
label.
You're saying it's gonna be a domino effect.
I think it's easier to drop a song on Tuesday. As far as I know, I think that it's easier to drop a single off cycle, as they're calling it now, than an album. But I honestly think that these artists need to say to their label, whoever their partners are,
right,
this is what we got to do.
It just makes sense. I don't know why people don't.
Because especially if you're a newer artist, like, I saw even a guy, like, I forgot the guy's name that runs ZJ Booth back in the day.
Oh, I forgot his name.
Mr. Z.
Yeah.
He was saying, like, his biggest advice is like, yo, drop your song on a Tuesday, because imagine you're a new artist.
Yeah.
You're dropping your shit Thursday midnight with everybody else.
Competing
How
against
are we gonna
Drake.
get to that? Even with your guide to the music, how are we gonna get to that shit?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, why not drop your shit off cycle, as they say?
Right.
Like, nobody's stopping you. Like, I think it'd be harder to convince a record company to, like, let you drop your album off cycle, but you should be feeding at least different songs off cycle.
But isn't that a numbers game? This is all a numbers game.
No. Actually, dropping on a Tuesday is better for you for the Billboard chart because that gives you more days. Dropping on a Friday, it just doesn't make sense overall.
It's lost, It doesn't value your situation. I don't get it.
For a numbers thing, Tuesday is better as well. Like, I don't know why this became the norm. And then you listen to it on Friday.
I think ultimately it may come back to Tuesdays. I think it may.
I hope so.
Because when you think about it, most people on a Friday, they're trying to finish their work week. As soon as they finish their work week going into a Saturday, okay, what are the plans? What laundry I got to do? To expect for people.
It's on a Sunday, yep.
You know what I'm saying? To expect for people to just bump new music from Saturday to Sunday is just so weird to me. And I really hope we do bring that back. I thought like maybe it was like we gotta hit some few people up. I didn't know we just got to tell people to do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Man, that's crazy.
I would love to get the information on that because I do think it's a numbers thing.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. I think the cycle for when artists' albums and streams get counted is like a weird window where Tuesday cuts them off a little bit. I think it's from Friday to Thursday. I believe we will do.
And if we're wrong, let us know in the comments. We know you will.
No, it used to be dropping on a Tuesday made the most sense for numbers, and now that everybody's dropping on a Friday, that just became the norm. But numbers wise, Tuesday was the better one. I don't know if they changed it last year, but last time I checked, I have no idea.
Also,
why.
there's no leaking anymore. It was supposed to stop international leaking of the records, but nothing gets leaked the same way. You deliver it to the DSPs, and then it goes when it goes, when it's time. So
Regi mentioned your interview with Will Smith. One of my favorite interviews.
Budapest Hungry.
Well,
that was wild.
Go to Budapest. Go to Budapest.
For Will Smith, you would have to. Yeah.
I'm not mad at that, but
you had to sit in the pretzel for that.
What happened?
You have to sit in the pretzel, toes open. Budapest sound peace.
Clearly, Alex is a jokester.
But Regi, she mentioned your interview with Will Smith, and obviously we've seen you interview a ton of people on camera. I'm sure you got a ton of people off camera. I want to know for you, since you've talked to so many different people, and the easy question is to say, what is your favorite? What is your least favorite? Who is your favorite? I want to know what's your most fulfilling. What has been the most fulfilling interview for you up to date?
It connects to the biggest, I think. Same way though, honestly.
For sure.
I think the Jay-Z and the Drakes are both different ways. Like, again, probably Jay, because I feel like, again, I'm blessed to say that me and Jay have built enough of a actual friendship through the years. So at the time before 44, he hadn't really told his story outside of the music, which was very telling at that time. So for him to finally agree to do it, and he didn't put a lot of pretense on it. It was more like, let's just do it and see what happens. And even though he had ultimate authority of how it would come out, he didn't make any real changes, and it came out to the world. I think that's probably the most fulfilling, because I felt like he's actually, he's the greatest, and also we represented that period. But then again, the Drake is special too, because I felt with Drake, the whole point I was trying to say was, even convincing him to do it was, you're not going to tell your story. Like, you've been a dominant force of culture for a decade. Like, you're not going to sit and tell your story. Like, it's criminal. You can't not do that. Like, I get that you have your issues with press and whatever. Like, so I think both things, even though they were also the biggest, not to sound like, like on some ego shit, they also personally feel very fulfilling, because I know the conversations that had to happen to make those things happen too. Like, there's a process. There's a level of like love and respect and trust to get to those points. So I think those are too much the pillars of what we do. But even just now, I think each thing, sitting with Mike Bivins just now, literally hours ago, like that's New Edition. Like, that's Mike Bivins. Like nobody I was joking, like, before I was married, like when I was single, like, imagine dating a girl, whether she's Asian, white, or black, and you put on New Edition and Shorty's like, I don't like that shit. This shit is whack.
Like, what?
You would think she's an alien. Like, there's no girl,
it's giving red flag.
There's nobody that hears New Edition and goes, I don't like New Edition, they're whack.
How could that be?
Like, they're not a polarizing thing. Like, you love New Edition. If you know about it. Like, nobody's ever listened to New Edition about that. I hate Drake. I love Drake. I hate Jay. I love it. Like, it's New Edition. So I'm saying, and Mike Bivins was like the hip hop guy to us from that clique. And what he represented. He's in the videos with Rakim. He's with Jam Master Jay. Like, so, and he said to me, he's finding this crazy shit. He's like, yo, he turned on the Breakfast Club. He's gonna do it now, but he turned it down for like, he's like, I'm sitting with Math Hoffa and I'm sitting with you. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yo, I had a vision. Like, he's like, I don't really know you, Elliott, but I fuck with you.
I believe that
fuck with your energy, but like, I know what you mean to the culture. Math's my guy from way back, but I'm sitting with Math Hoffa. I'm sitting with you. So these moments still motivate me, SaVon. Like, so I feel that still drive of like, then it makes me just, that's the fiend part of me. I'm like, yo, I just want to have these moments of like, like so it keeps motivating me. So I don't have that magical like that completes it, but I do think that Jay and the Drake are great and unique in their own way. And even like, and the idea even with Will Smith of like, yo, like I always joke about, my wife tells the story of like when she was running Vibe magazine, shout out my wife, Danielle Smith. When she was running Vibe magazine, she was trying to get a Mariah Carey cover, right? And Mariah was like dodging her and shit. And then she was like, okay, but if you come to Ifufu Island Spa and whatever the fuck, I'll sit with you. So Danielle's like, booked the flight and went to the shit.
That's real journalism.
And pulls up and knocks on her door. And she's like, oh shit.
Yo, keep it a buck. Wifey be teaching you shit?
Absolutely.
She's the one.
She shouldn't be wifey if she ain't teaching you
Come
shit.
on, Al.
She's the one that.
Come on, Al.
You took that, Jewel? You want to say it again?
No, you said she taught you how to structure a music review.
Yes. Look at Rez. Look at the journalist.
We doing alley-oops here.
Why do you think you came here? Huh? Why do you think you came here?
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's called the kicker. Like, what's your outro line? It's like, what's your pop at the end?
Kicker.
Like, and also she also taught me constructive criticism of like, everybody can say, "Oh, shit's whack, shit's trash." Like we were joking about Sexy Red. Like, okay, I get it. Like, you could criticize her, but why does it work? What does she do right, and what does she do wrong? Mm-hmm. That's called constructive criticism, right? Like, she's not just whack, or else she wouldn't be running around going Pound Town or Ski. But is she the most gifted in this area? No. But like, let's point out what she's doing right and what she could correct. Constructive criticism was one thing, and having those kickers. But again, with the Mariah Carey thing, was like, yo, go get the story. That's journalism. Go get the story, right? If everybody said, yo, I need to know, James Harden says he wants to talk to you all. He wants to
slide.
Go get that. Go get that story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, go get the story. Like, a lot of people get spoiled with that shit. It's like, yo, come to my location, come to this in Brooklyn, or come to my that radio station model of like they got to come to you and like sit at your thing. No, go get the story. We got cameras. Like, let's move.
That's why you ain't been up there.
Okay, just at us, Elliott. Dang.
Well, go get the story. So I'm proud of the Will Smith too. Of like, yo, we literally went to fucking.
Budapest.
I don't want to go to Budapest.
But you went?
That shit ain't popping.
At least for Will Smith.
Can't go back now, Al. Watch your mouth. Now you can't go back.
There ain't no baddies.
How long was the flight?
Ain't no baddies. If he said
too
DR,
long.
I would have been like, yeah.
We in there.
I think it was 8 hours, 10 hours. I don't even know.
For sure. Before
Me, my wife, and beat out. Let's go. Let's do it.
Before we transition to whatever we want to go to next, I do want to ask about those fulfilling interviews and those big moment interviews. How much of those interviews are edited? Because my thing is, and we don't gotta get into
You just brought up what I was gonna say.
I know a specific one, Elliott. I'm not gonna mention it. You know which one I'm talking about?
He may not know. And again, we don't have to mention any specifics. But as a fan, as a consumer of the culture, right? So we had this debate on our podcast about your interview with Drake, right?
Yep.
And my thing is, I want Drake to go sit with the U's, the Gilly Wallows, the Joes, the Charlotte, whoever it is. I don't give a fuck if he's in the culture. I want him to go sit, right? The thing is, when you get a Drake, he has the final say, which I understand. I get that.
But do you?
No,
Start
I
at
do
magnitude.
understand
Start at magnitude. It's a collaboration. It's partnership.
Exactly.
So that's how you have to deal with it. So I'll walk you through the Drake shit. So he finally agrees, but then it's got to be his house. It's got to be Theo, his guy, who's this amazing photographer, videographer. Like, he's amazing. Theo's dope. So it's in his house. It's set up. Theo's shooting it. He controls the whole shit. It's a collaboration, but there's no pretense of like, you can't ask me about this. You can't, but we're not live, right? So it's one thing. So we do the interview.
Yeah.
And we know it's going to be a negotiation back and forth of what the final product is that y'all going to see when it comes out. So I remember getting the file back. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
that's a full.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I'm like, Khaled, I like what Drake likes. I like no changes.
What Drake likes.
I like what Drake likes. No changes. Perfect to me. But then I made sure, like, is the Kanye shit in there? Is the Pusha shit? Like, the hot topics that are in there?
Right.
The changes he made was like, he took out, I had teased him about the whole Chris Brown bottle shit that shut New York City nightlife forever.
Yeah.
As you know, SaVon.
That was a big
deal. That was a big
They
deal.
killed New York City nightlife.
Facts.
Yeah.
And the Sirius XM deal wasn't official yet.
Right.
Like, things like that, little nitpicky type shit, he cut out.
Got you.
But you saw what you saw.
But you know what? You respect the fact though that those artists of those magnitude can do that, right? Because that's what our argument was about.
Part of also, as much as I'm saying that he should do these other outlets, I wonder if they could be partners with him to get it out to the world. I think he could film a Drink Champs interview. Will we ever see it? Those are steps that have to happen, right? Or Joe Budden, even, no disrespect, or Gilly Wallow, whoever. Like, so my point is, like, it is a collaboration. Nicki Minaj with Crown. The first Nicki Minaj Crown I did. Yeah. She had final approval. Sent the thing to her. She had no changes. That's what you saw.
Fine.
I think part of being a journalist in this modern era is that's part of it. Like, you can't deny someone's stature as a star. it doesn't take your integrity away if you execute the vision right.
Right.
You didn't watch the Drake interview and felt like it was compromised. He didn't talk about Kanye or talk about Pusha.
Right.
He got his shit off. They just want to feel in control. And if they get to a certain level of stature, they earn that. It's a collaboration.
You heard it here first.
You got to learn how to deal. That's business. You got to be a businessman. Right? As you do it, like, you make those decisions with your people. Like what's going to come out in the final edit with Joe, whoever. It's like, that's part of it. So yeah, at this point, you can't put your journalism flag on and be like, I'm not making the integrity of my Drake shit still reeks of journalism integrity.
Absolutely.
It's 220. It's the best Drake interview ever.
Absolutely.
And yes, he did have final approval. But that's what you saw.
And at the end of the day, man, if artists of that magnitude...
And Jay too. Same thing with Jay. I thought it didn't connect to the 444 album.
That's a part of the story. That's a part of the story.
It didn't connect.
You got to do 92 bricks to get there.
And I thought he would take it out. If I brought it to him, he would have asked it to be taken out. So I kind of got a step ahead of it. Almost if I was SaVon editing the Joe Budden podcast. It's like, if I keep it in, he's going to be like, all right, you have this in here. Take it out.
But now we'll never know.
So I got ahead of it, right? But here's the funny part. When I did that, he's all on the Drake album, 92 bricks, blah, 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 blah. He kept rapping about 92 bricks. After I took it out, Jay went on a 92 bricks run of like rapping about the shit. Nipsey Hussle freestyle. 92 bricks. If you listen to the whole tribute he did to Nipsey, he raps about the 92 bricks. So he tells the story somewhat in that. Okay. If you watch that video.
Okay.
But like, it's funny because it brought a whole new life to the 92 bricks story once I took it out. Because then Jay loved it, I took it out, and then like laughed at the whole hysteria it caused, and then he kept referencing the 92 bricks, so it had a whole 92 bricks second life.
He said, L ain't put it out, let me do some on this DJ Khaled track. Let me get my shit over real quick on this shit since L want to be all politically correct. Now, yo, one thing I realized about Rap Radar interviews, they're relatively like shorter.
In comparison to...
I always wanted to be 1 hour. That was my whole thing. Like anything past an hour, you have to earn your time. Like I feel like my biggest critique of the pod era of podcasting, I think probably Joe is the only one who kind of still long form hold your interest, right? He could give you a 3 hour pod, and Combat could do it too with Chuck D or whatever. Like so, other than if you're not Combat or Joe Budden, cut your shit down, nigga. Like nobody want to hear you talk about shit for like 2 hours.
I don't know. I feel like that's
2.5. Like cut it down. It must be a nightmare for you, SaVon. I don't understand how you do it. It's like
it used to be long days over there.
There's too much long potting going on. Stop long potting.
I feel like that's the essence of podcast. Huh? It's not like a content interview. I feel like that's the essence of podcast. You listen to it on your commute. It's just people like chopping it up like a group chat.
But I always felt like past an hour, you have to earn that extra interest to keep people in tune.
But I think it depends.
Everybody earns an hour, I think.
It depends. Past that, it depends why people are tuned in.
Okay.
Right? So a Joe Rogan or Joe Budden, right? They go long hours.
Yep.
Super
They're just
long.
talking.
Joe Rogan could do like 3 or 4 hours, and people will tune in.
But he earned that.
No, he earned it, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a comedian I just got put on to, Theo Von. You familiar?
Okay.
Theo Von. He's a comedian, white dude, funny, Caucasian, hilarious.
Yeah.
He is fucking.
He just says whatever.
I will watch him as long as he put a podcast out.
Yeah, you feed him?
Yeah, I think that's the essence of a pod.
But he earned your time. You say
he earned my time.
Yes.
Legit, he earned my time.
Yes.
But it's because I'm able to connect to him. I'm here for him. So I think when we talk about the length of a podcast, now we get real technical, right? The length of a podcast.
You probably know more than most of us.
No,
that is,
sure, I guess. But the length of a podcast, right? We could go to advertisers. We could say, hey, I'm putting out 3 hours every single week. It's 85% consumption rate. This is the value of my podcast, right? You put out an hour and it's 60%. Which one is more valuable? You get what I'm saying? So now it's a numbers game. Now it's a way, how can I gauge my audience? How can I gauge my interest? How can I monetize what it is that I'm doing? So for us, we average about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
I was gonna say, what do you think the average is? If I wanted to be a quality young potter out the game, I got to deliver like 90 minutes. You think?
I don't think that's good.
I don't think you have to, right? And I think it also depends because, like you said, with the whole Bobbi, she's your op, low key. With Bobbi,
that is your op.
With Bobbi,
sorry, though we all got ops.
She chops her shit up so well that her 2-minute reels will equivalent 3 hours if you watch all of them and all these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's math. It's like I try to break it down. So I'm gonna give y'all a little inside scoop. Don't be mad. Don't be mad.
Yeah.
Regi, Alex, don't be mad at me.
I'm not gonna be mad.
We did so we don't really do interviews too much, right?
Okay.
We like to build our base. We like to
special.
build our foundation.
Yeah.
Again, we've learned from who we've learned from. We've seen how it's worked, and it's been working for us. It's been like real organic growth.
Well, thank you for having me then.
No, thank you. For real, legit. Like, we do not really have too many guests.
Yeah.
Right, so prior to our episode, we had Ish. And so since we don't normally do guests, when we had somebody of that magnitude, like for me, I knew we needed the infrastructure, right? We had Parks on a few years ago. Our YouTube went crazy. It was a huge spike. We got subscribers, followers, views, but we couldn't retain it, in my opinion, right? And the fact that we're blessed to have access to the Parkses, to the Ishes, now obviously you pulled up on the pod. For me, like, that's a luxury. I don't take it for granted. And so if you do want to come on the pod, I want to make sure we're going to be able to repurpose it. We're going to be able to reach the people that we want to reach, that we deserve, that you deserve. We're going to do it the right way.
Right.
When it comes to podcasting and when it comes to like the Joe Rogans and the Theo Vons and the Joe Budden and repurposing, I think what it is we have to kind of hit the mark. It's important for us to kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's important for us to hit that mark. Internally, I wanted to take Ish's episode and I wanted to chop it up like I was Vlad.
No exaggeration.
30 clips. Part 37.
50 clips. 50
Literally,
clips.
though.
I
Literally.
felt,
He's not
Elliott,
exaggerating.
Elliott, I'll let you know. You're Capricorn, so I know when you feel something, you feel
Y'all get
that
it going.
shit,
He
right?
about to shot my shit up.
We just
I'm
letting
getting to up in this motherfucker.
But I'm gonna reveal
Sure.
something. I didn't even talk to them about it, right? So they felt strongly about going about it one way. I felt another way. They was like, look, let's put out the episode. Let's give the people the content, and then we could bust it down. I was like, no, I want to bust it
wanna
down.
tease
and
it and
then
spread it
No,
out.
give
no,
it-
we said we agreed on teasing like 2 YouTube clips and a bunch of Instagram little like nice trailers.
go.
Drop the episode in full,
There you
then
go.
drop like 50 clips.
Capricorns, they don't
That's
lie.
what
They just don't tell the whole
That is
truth.
what we agreed on.
But I was gonna give y'all credit. If y'all let me get to where I was going, I was gonna give y'all
Sorry.
it worked out better their method. Right?
Yeah, okay.
So when you talk about the 92 bricks
Yep.
and the B-Dot situation, I'm sure in the moment you was like, nah, nigga, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. But in hindsight, I'm sure you probably looked at B-Dot like, you know what? I rock with where you're going. So how often is it that you gotta trust people, specifically B-Dot, because y'all are synonymous, y'all are linked together.
Yeah, it's
how
a
often you gotta
partnership.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I
trust
respect
him.
his point. It's a partnership. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm blessed and I love his development, like, and how he's grown, like, and how people care about his opinion in hip hop. And literally, like, I think be like, you know, put somebody on. It's like, yo, look what B-Dot's become. It's just like, what do you mean I don't help people put people on? It's like,
B-Dot used to work for you. I didn't know that.
yeah, he XXL is like, he's editorial assistant. He's here in the masthead. I'm editor in chief.
Wow, got
Damn.
Like, he was always this person who stepped in a room, and to his credit, was bold enough to speak at the end of the meeting and, like, you know, the intern or whatever lower level things, like, who got else something to say about blah blah. Here come B-Dot with his whole shit. This is like, and then you roll your eyes and it's just like, this nigga.
The list.
What do you
But
want
he's
now?
that person. Like, now he's the list man.
know.
And y'all care. These rappers is in their feelings
They be
about
mad.
how he feels about their records. Like,
be
it's
mad.
insane to me. Like, so yeah, I think it's a partnership. So it's like, I love B-Dot. I respect him and he's grown so much. Like, so yeah. But yeah, the 92 Bricks thing is like, yo, it was just funny because it was like, it didn't connect to what we were presenting, which was 444, this album by Jay. Yes, it's a great, you know, myth story in hip hop of like the origin, blah, blah, but it's like, I kind of loved it. It ends up being a sort of mystical thing of like, you don't see that per se. It ended up working out right.
Do you feel like you have a structure in your life, working in the media and being a journalist? How do days look for you? You know, coming up in this space right now, it just feels like every day can look so different.
Yeah.
So it's you still
There's no set structure anymore. Also,
shit.
that I was a big office culture person, which is forever impacted by the pandemic and COVID, and like we don't have that anymore. I come from the old school of like the Leo Cohen, Des Perez shit of like there's an office.
Yep.
I'm the first one in.
Yeah.
I'm the last one out.
Yep.
And fuck everybody. And this is my chamber and like
feels like
kill
work.
everybody. But
Yeah.
like, you know, now you go get a sandwich in Midtown and no one's there.
Literally.
Because these skyscrapers is not
Are
filled
empty.
up.
They're
These
empty.
big office buildings are not filled up from floor 12 to floor 52. So it's an adjustment, dog. Like I'm saying, like that's why I'm trying to figure out even like, so my thing is to empower myself, Elliott Wilson experience. Like, let's figure it out as we figure it out. Like, let me just empower myself I do know one thing, like I was saying earlier, people want great content. So how can I deliver that? And then that'll lead to whatever that new structure is. I don't have it set up. Like there's no structure anymore in that sense of it, other than the consumption that the audience wants. That they're on their phones, they're on YouTube, they want to watch things, they want to feel things, they want to connect. Like that's the device. There's no magic appointment viewing on TV. There's no magic job that's gonna save your life. It's just like we're all here just creating content. And I think still the best content's going to win. That's how I look at it. Great content's going to stand out.
Always.
Quality content's going to stand out. Like, people are going to watch this. This is quality content. Like, that's what's important.
I think the Elliott Wilson experience is really going to work because
thank you, brother.
People that think that you're just sit down and serious and I just write down my I just write down my questions. Like, they are really going to see a side.
It could be boring, Alex. I'm boring.
No, you my man.
Change the narrative.
Yo, you be blocking niggas.
You my man.
You be blocking niggas. I be seeing
I'm ready to block your fun, though. You gotta admit, though. I give niggas a soundtrack and hit the thing. I gotta stop doing that. I gotta go back to that. I just stopped. That's fun. Reg, you like how I be blocking people?
Huh?
You don't like that? We see you in the videos of blocking people?
Why you so you do what you keep your peace.
Here's the thing. When I was in early days, I'm gonna tell you the truth. The early days of Twitter, I prided myself like I'm not blocking no one.
That's me. That's
I deal with your hate. And
that's me. That's me.
You and
that's me.
DM you to tell you about your mama, and I'm not blocking anybody. I ain't no coward.
That's me.
Not anybody say nothing. I ain't even like gone, nigga. Gone. I'm the opposite.
Look at the evolution.
Yo, but you know what I realized?
SaVon does block
it's like Drake. Remember Drake wasn't beef with nobody that beats everybody. It's like it's the complete opposite. I was like,
I'm gonna just take my access away from him. I don't know. I do
because you're privileged to talk to me. What are you talking about?
You talking that shit.
What are you, like, and also you're just trying to get a rise out of me, as they say. It's just like, yo. Like, you're too comfortable. Like,
and when they meet you in real life, it's a whole different energy.
They're like, oh my God, I'm such a big fan.
They never give you that energy in real life, but they're very
They want to
comfortable
connect to you, so they do that. You know?
My new shit is trolling them back.
SaVon, your podcast ain't shit. Because you know what? I'm an amazing cameraman, so I can make your shit hot. Like, that's the audition. It's like, shit on my thing, and then you want a job. Like,
get a reaction.
You know, it's like, put your thing down because you actually whack, but you be dope if you got me on because I'm about to be buzz. Like, that's not your job audition. People gotta stop doing that. That's a bad habit of like tearing something down, acting like that's your jump off for your opportunity.
Like, but wait.
That's a bad habit.
Whole time they just want your attention.
Off camera, you said something, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I was shocked because it really told me how much you pay attention to people, to the culture, to the craft.
It's kind of scary.
And no, it's nothing crazy. But you said something to me, and you know my friends, Alex, Regi, the people that know me, they kind of know. They know the work that I put in. Again, we can relate outside of just having the same fucking birthday. Like I can see, we real working out.
Okay, twin.
You feel what I'm saying?
Stretch little twin.
So like you know the work that you put in, and again, going back to if you know, you know. A lot of people may not know, but I was honored when you was like, yo, you know what? I see the impact that you had on the Joe Budden podcast.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you able to see things in that way and read between the lines? Because you and I never really had a thorough conversation. It's show love publicly and yo, what's going on? But it's never been like, yo, this is what I do. This is what I bring to the table. I've never offered my fucking services. Like, yo, this is what I do. You just kind of see that. So
I think that's the journalism side of like trying to figure out what's the behind the scenes force around something. Because
He's always watching.
I think it comes from me. It's like people don't realize me. It's like all my life before 2013, I was behind the scenes, right? Like I always say with Crown, you started to see what I look like, who I am. I had a whole 2-decade career of just like being like, you don't know what he looks like. He's even XXL era. It's like, this guy's talking all this shit. Who is this guy? What does he look like? If I see him, I'm gonna beat him up. Like, who is this guy? Like, so I think I always like get fascinated by, okay, who's the behind the scenes force that's a major part of this, right? Like even Parks, like Parks finally was moved up to UC Parks, right? So I felt like you was like that last element of like, okay, well, who's really the person that's like helping this machine go? So I think I get fascinated by that. Like, it's like looking under the trunk of a car. Like, who's really the engine? Like, who's really part of that whole thing that's making it happen? So I think it just comes from that with magazines, where it's like so much of the time before this era of my career, I didn't want to be known as seen. I wanted to be anonymous. I wanted to be
to an extent.
Behind the scenes.
It's to an extent. You said you
no, but now I welcome it.
I know.
So now niggas is like Elliott Wilson. And like
yeah.
they see me and it's like I can't hide it. Elliott Wilson, I love your interviews. Like that's the energy. So but I think that I would also forever be fascinated by who's the behind the scenes force behind something and their dedication to that.
So why you ain't look for me?
Come on, Alex. He was sitting right next to him, Elliott.
Only said but you know what, though? I only brought that up because a lot of people really don't know that I was Screen Man. So to your point about working behind scenes, it was like, okay, cool. Like, this is dope. But it's like people will run into me like, yo, I thought you were like some middle-aged white guy. Like, I had no idea. So 100%. Putting a face on something is like,
it matters.
It does kind of matter, So I'm glad you're
in
here
this era, yeah. I'm discovering, brother.
Yeah. It's a very thankless job.
That's all right.
It's thankless being behind the scenes. But honestly, I'm kind of enjoying it because I'm an editor at Vibe now. And I'm kind of like in my era.
Shout out to H1.
Thank you. Yes. I love working with H1. But I'm kind of enjoying like, taking that backseat, just making sure everybody's writing is on point. I barely, my bylines aren't like all over the place anymore because I'm more busy editing. And I'm kind of enjoying that though, like not being the face and not being like the writer with the full cover story. Maybe I'll grow out of that in like a year and I'll be complaining. But right now, I don't know, I feel like that kind of has a rewarding aspect of it as well. You're just helping people be the best that
I think that's the essence of being a journalist. And like you're saying also the editor. Like I wanted to be the editor. I wanted to be the one who made the decisions. I didn't want to be, like when I was doing 50 Cent covers, I wasn't interviewing 50 Cent. I was trying to find the right person to interview 50 Cent. Okay, it's time to give him a guy from Queens also, or he should sit with a woman this time, or he should sit with this cat. Like,
but that's important.
You're throwing all the plays, like, but there was no glory in that because, like, now in this era, it's like they don't understand what that is. Like, if I did imagine if that era I did every 50 Cent cover story, and then from like 05 to whatever, you see every photo of me and 50 Cent. Every photo like me and him, like, you'd be like, oh, this nigga's a legend. Oh my God. He interviewed 50 Cent over. That wasn't the way back then. Now it's so much about front facing and being that type of person. Back then, to your point, Reg, it's like, as an editor or journalist, you're almost taught to be behind the scenes of what is being built. Like the artistry and everything is above that situation. Like you're the behind the scenes force that people don't see. Now we're in much more of a front facing era of like, okay, this is SaVon. This is how like these guys that helped build the Joe Budden thing. These are those guys, and like this is what they look like. So that's been a transition literally in the last like 5 to 10 years.
For
like,
sure.
It's different.
What's your relationship like with 50? You mentioned 50. Like
you said on
you mentioned
academics.
50. You said it before. He said this 7 years ago on the Breakfast Club. So he said it recently, and you just said like, "Yo, me and 50, we don't really have a relationship." But y'all did a lot of work. Go for it, Regi.
He said 50 can't stand me. That's what you said. That's what you said on academics.
You don't like me.
That's supposed to be Queens niggas.
What happened?
South side and West side is
I know.
That's a lot of.
Give us a scoop. What happened?
Break it down. Talk to Fifth. Nah, look, South Side and Wood Side is very different.
It's opposite.
No. Like,
thank you. Thank you. I try to explain it.
Salute to the 40s. Salute to all of them, but it's very
like
different.
Like, down the Jamaica side, people don't know. I'm more like in the Queensbridge, Long Island
Queens,
City.
LIC vibe.
You can see the 59th Bridge right there. So traditionally, these type of Queens cats don't get along. We're from different sides of town. Like, look, I respect 50, but like we were never super cool. We did great business. Shout out Vanessa Satin. She was kind of always the middle ground. She runs the XXL to this day. Yeah. So every business we did was you, Vanessa. So we never had a personal rapport. That's why we get mad when people like act like we were cool and then we fell out. We were never super cool. But obviously I respect him. I say this about 50 and I say every time, like nobody ever, the reason why we always like big up 50's run and it's so unprecedented. We had never seen nobody in hip hop be the king of the underground and king of the mainstream at the same
simultaneously,
time.
Yeah.
Never. Like 800,000. Like what he did in that era, 03, was great for my career, great for everybody. Like unprecedented. You know what I'm saying? Like, and obviously he's a smart dude. He's like evolved to like television and what he's done there. So it's all respect to him. But yeah, we never had a real personal rapport. So. You know, and then it came out to the world and he's like, fuck Elliott or whatever. It's like, but it is what it is. Like,
where does that stem from?
We did great work.
Do you know where that stems from? The fuck Elliott.
I think it stems from
the particular situation. Yeah.
50's like, yo, if you ain't fuck with me. But also I did Rap Radar when he's doing This Is 50. So I feel like, I don't think he loved that me and Paul Rosenberg, who was a partner to him with Eminem, whatever. We started Rap Radar. He's got This Is 50. It felt like a real personal thing of like, I'm getting my website popping. You're getting the website popping.
Makes sense.
I think it was like, that was the final straw of like, I don't fuck with this guy.
Kind of like that situation with him and Dr. Dre with the headphones.
Exactly.
There was a few, okay. Yep. That kind of makes sense.
You probably ain't write enough Yayo interviews.
I love Yayo.
That's my birthday twin, yo.
Yayo's the only one that I went to like hear his album in like Yayo played me his album, but like I remember going to sessions, like I never sat with nobody, but Shout out Yayo. I always got a little good with Yayo. Yayo played me the whole Thoughts of a Predicate Felon.
Oh, fine. I love that studio. I love that.
And to 50's credit, here's something that 50 did that was dope.
Yeah.
Jay wouldn't do it, but 50 would do it. 50 would stand next to his artist and do the cover. Because that was the big thing. It's like, I can't just put Lloyd Banks on the cover. I love Lloyd Banks, but
at that time,
it's not going to sell if it's just Lloyd Banks. Hey, 50, will you stand next to Lloyd Banks? Hey, 50, will you stand next to Tony Yayo? Like 50 would show up on time before anybody and stand by his artist and sell that cover with that artist, where a lot of big artists would not do that for the young artists. They wouldn't stand by that. Like, we when I got this whole Jay Beanie thing, that was drama to get Jay behind Beanie Siegel. Like that was drama to get. So I do credit 50 with that, where 50 was like about his business of like, I'm gonna stand next to my artist and like really elevate the G Unit brand.
Nah, it might be the beef might be squashed now. We're gonna hit Fifth up. Because he on tour, he feeling good as hip hop 50. You know what I'm saying? 50, hip hop 50. Like, I think shit could be squashed. I think shit could be squashed. He's
like, you get what I'm picking, you're picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
Good luck with that, Alex.
Good luck with that, Alex.
Damn, Queens niggas versus Queens niggas. Look,
I ain't mad at
you
that.
said, but you don't want to tap in the South Side, West Side. So I will you on that.
I got you on that. You're right. It is very different.
Very different.
Look, we've been talking a lot of music today.
Shout out to all the little shorties in law.
Shout out to all shorties. Yo, E, what you know? What you know about the little shorties over there? Over there on Merrick.
I was single back in the day.
This nigga was single before. I be forgetting niggas be single.
You know how somebody was really outside when he kept saying I was single. We see the ring. That nigga said no.
He said that shit 10 times today. Yo, I ain't going from. It was a time where I was single. Yeah, we know. Look, we've been talking about
that dollar van to certain destinations.
Oh my goodness.
But see, y'all New Yorkers don't know how it was to enter a van at a random.
Right?
The van was
shorty look good. You gotta
get up in the dollar van.
Dollar van.
Mind you, everybody got a different slot.
Take the picture. You on that East train, they drop you to the unknown land. You're like on 179. What street is that? 179.
And you hopping out
the division.
You know, look, like, you hopping out of a Ford Eco van with 9 other people with 9 other destinations.
Is she on the road, the drive, the avenue? Where we going?
Nah, because of inflation, it's 150 now.
Come on, hello. Now
for real?
Yes, it's pretty sad.
Dollar van is 150 now?
Treacherous.
Say what?
Treacherous out
Look,
here.
we've been talking about
treacherous out here.
New
York talk. 150.
Nah, you know SaVon an Elmhurst nigga. Word. He just being quiet.
I was born in Elmhurst Hospital.
Oh, for real? Y'all really
on the
twins?
same day? Wow.
No, it was East Elmhurst.
these niggas
I wasn't
is
born in
really
Elmhurst. I wasn't born. I live in East Elmhurst. I wasn't born in Elmhurst.
Just go with the story.
I live in Queens.
These niggas
you're my
is really
son.
twins.
Nah,
oh my goodness.
Come on. You was cool before you said that. That's my man's. But that's some Capricorn shit. I ain't mad at that. We talked about 50 Cent, 50 years of hip hop. We here. It would be like, fucking, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention 50 years of hip hop with Elliott Wilson on the platform. So I want all of us to answer this question. And if y'all gonna have some time to just kind of think about what those moments are for you. But I want to talk about what is the standout moment for you, Elliott, as somebody who's documented this culture, shared this culture with us. What is one of those moments in the 50 years or whatever the years are for you that you've covered hip hop that stands out for you? Like, this is hip hop. Like, we always say in the NBA terms, right? We'll say, yo, if the aliens came down and you had to give them a starting 5 of the greatest 5 niggas that ever touch a ball, who was your lineup? I just want to know one. I don't need to know 5, but just give us one moment of hip hop that you had to tell an alien, like, this is hip hop for me.
I think it's my wife talks about it a lot. It's seeing. I was determined when they announced the Watch the Drone Tour International. It was like, I have to see niggas in Paris. And I booked the thing, and like I hit Jay. He's like, smart man.
That's how he talks.
Smart man.
What's
that's dope. So like, he didn't fly me out. I had to pay my own flight, hotel, whatever. But like, I had tickets to the show.
Right.
And then I saw Hit Boy. I met Hit Boy for the first time, and like we're backstage, and it's just like, that was the whole culture of like again, and bringing the song back again, and like Dream is there, Spike Lee, all these different people, like it's just the power of hip hop. Like we're in Paris, they're literally saying niggas in Paris, It's just like, and he did the record for like 45 minutes, kept bringing the shit back. There's no AC in this motherfucker. We're in some weird shit in Paris, and
running
we're sweating,
on fumes.
Running on fumes. I'm with my wife, and it's just it's amazing. Like, so the power of hip hop, you know what I mean? Like internationally, like, yo, we're in Paris. Like he said, motherfuckers ain't supposed to be here. It's like, so I think that's probably always stands out to me as something different, because I thought that moment would be special. I seek that moment out, and then it actually did deliver as what I thought it would deliver, like Paris in Paris, you know. And Forever Bonds, we were like Hit Boy and different things because he knows. Like, remember he got too buzzed, he couldn't make the after party. Didn't have the whole after party thing that we went to. And I remember going to the after party joint. Like I remember that was the whole like. This is a little tight right here, but like the whole like tight jean type era shit.
Yeah.
And I walk in the spot and Jay got some tight jeans on and shit. I got some tight shit on, some tight pants. And we're just like, yo, our wise men put these like, tight pants on. Like,
look at us now.
So,
look at us now.
Paris, probably Paris in Paris, but
that's a good one.
But even as a kid, like I remember like I wasn't there for the Run DMC like put your Adidas moment in the air type thing. But I remember like taping it off WBLS and like feeling like I was a part of it. So that's another one that stands out to me too of like, you know, there's moments where like hip hop becomes like a whole powerful thing that's beyond just like the whole situation, you know?
For sure.
I agree. As a kid, I felt like, what was that the source of the XXL cover that had all the rappers on there? I forget which one that was. I gotta
Which
remember.
one?
Where it was a group of all the rappers in the 90s, like late 90s, where they, I'm drawing the blank.
Drawing a blank?
The Source joint?
I think it was the Source joint.
Nori?
I think it was the Source joint.
Yeah, that's probably the whole freshman thing. You talking about that?
Yeah. Where all the rappers were on it?
Yes. Okay, so you want the story in that? So that was me as music editor.
Yeah.
So the whole point really is like, okay, there's basically the harsh part is nobody's big enough to get their own cover, right? No niggas big enough to get a cover. So let's take the 10 hottest rappers and just make a collage, right? So we did that at the Source. I think we talking about had Capadonna, Nori, Big Pun. Yeah. At the time, couldn't make a decision. So one time at XXL, the same thing happened where it's like I couldn't figure out who could be the cover. So I did this. I called it Leaders in the New School. And I did like Lupe and Plies. Whoever was like, it's 2007. Yeah. So like it's Lupe is Plies. It's like Boozy, you know, Crooked Eye, Joel Ortiz. So I do the cover there. I called it Leaders in the New School. It didn't sell well, so I didn't do it again the next year.
Right. But then
when I left XXL, Daquan Thomas, to his credit,
legend,
picked up that idea, rebranded it, called it the Freshman Class. And with the whole blog era of like the Wale's and the Energy, did that cover and it took off for them. So that's probably the biggest thing XXL did after I left because they branded it that way. So it's the same idea. And it was so dope that they did that.
Yeah, the freshman covers definitely stuck with me. And I'll end with this before you go, Reggie. I don't care what y'all say. Lil Mama going on that stage with Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. I don't give a fuck what none of y'all say. That is one of the most legendary things I've ever seen.
Because you gotta try to grab him by the wrist.
Do you know what kind of...
she was standing there like...
Yo, do you know what kind of zone you got to be to ignore Hov?
That's a different zone.
Like Hov,
no, dust off B to get to the stage.
No, and
then still dub Hov on the stage.
That's legendary.
She doubled down on that. She was like,
hit it with the tap like,
like that's legendary. I don't give a fuck what y'all say. That is one of my moments.
She was like,
B dubbed on the way up.
She was like, I was so passionate. I'm sorry. She doubled down on it. She was like, yes.
Do you know the
she was
zone?
Like, I meant to do that.
Oh man,
that's a different zone.
Yeah, that's a different zone.
I'm scared of that zone.
What's he saying?
That zone go in your career. That zone gonna get you out the paint.
That shit gonna blackball you. That zone gonna blackball you. Word. Shout out to Lil Mama, yo. You are a legend for that. Don't let nobody tell you not.
Passionate, you
shit.
know.
You gotta be a different type of gangster to try that.
Don't put me in that zone. Reggie, you got a moment?
I do. So I was sent to cover DMX's memorial service at Barclays, and I just remember like I got there super early. You know, I'm a punctual girl, but so I got to witness.
That's a journalist in you.
Period. And so I got to witness like from it being empty from like, you know, like 7 a.m. or whatever, and then just the monster trucks starting to form, the people in the Rough Riders, like leather, the whole city coming out, of course, DMX. And then that was really early. And then obviously the funeral, the service was beautiful. But not only that, but after that, at night, you could still hear people chanting his lyrics from like 9 p.m. echoing off the walls. Like I just remember looking around and being like, this is what journalism is about. This is what we document. It's not about us. We're not the story. We're telling the story. Yep. And then we're going to tell our kids about this. Their kids are going to tell their kids about this. So, and just him, I don't even have to explain why I chose DMX, but just that moment, I will never forget it. That's why I don't care about being the face. I just care about witnessing those moments. And that's my pick.
You want to hear a good DMX story?
Absolutely.
So, well, I owe a lot to DMX actually. So when I took over XXL, this is like their 13th issue. So when I took over XXL, it was clearly to me that like I had to get popping early or else they were gonna sell the magazine. Like they had a lot of pressure. Like it was a lot of pressure. So I had to be a step out the gate. So, Def Jam in that era put out all the big records in the fourth quarter, as they say, December. So you had like Jay-Z, DMX, Ja Rule, all the big releases. So the Source did a double magazine. The Source is putting out a magazine where it's like they put out a double issue. So it comes out in December and it stays on the stands until February. So they gave me a window. And they chose Jay-Z. They chose Jay-Z to put on the cover, right? And then we're gonna do DMX in February, which will come out in March issue would come out in February.
Okay.
So I knew that. I was dealing with shout out Gabby Peluso. Shout out to her. That's Skane Dollar's wife. And I was like, yo,
shout out to Skane. We
got to do DMX. Like the Source is not gonna pull your cover because that was the fear. It's like they're doing J. I gotta do X. This is the one. Like, you stole my shit. Like, come on.
Like,
you gonna let the Source play y'all sit for 2 months and this? They're not gonna put here's the thing, hip hop. Nobody comes out top of the year. It's like knows why I'm out. They're gonna put X. They're not gonna pull the cover. They're gonna be mad at you, but they're gonna put it. So finally convinced her. She gave me the cover. I did DMX, and out the gate it was super successful. So that was my first thing. So then circle back. X is that nigga. I finally decide I'm gonna step in the forefront. I'm gonna do a DMX cover story. So I come down to Miami. What year is this? Like 01, 02, whatever. Like I go to Miami. I fly to Miami. I'm supposed to interview DMX. I'm doing the cover. It's a big deal because I don't do the covers myself. So I fly to DMX. I fly to Miami. I go to Miami. I get to the hotel. I drop my bag. It's like, yo, come to this studio. I come to the studio. It's already like, X says, fuck that. He doesn't want to be in Miami. He wants to go back to New York.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, nigga, I just landed and dropped my bag. My bag is, I didn't even like zip my bag open. Like my bag is in the hotel room. Yeah. I ain't take nothing off. Like I didn't even shower. Like I'm just there. So I'm like, oh fuck, this guy's like bugging. And then it's like you're dealing with all the DMX craziness of like he's here, he's like falling asleep and shit. And you don't wake him up. Don't wake the dog up. Yeah. The dog wakes up fighting. Like don't wake the dog up. And he's like doing all this extra shit. So then
that's fine. That's so fine. That's how you get a nigga to shut up. The dog wakes up.
Don't wake the dog up. Imagine you was the dog. Like, think about how ill of a nigga you gotta be to be the dog that can't be woken up. Like that's some ill shit. Shout out to X, man. Rest in
then
peace.
He's like, yo, we're about to go to the thing. He's like, want to go back home.
Yeah.
So then you get in the car. SaVon, I swear to God, I've never been in a car I was more scared of. This dude's driving like 95, 100. He's switching lanes. We're going to the Miami airport. I just got there, my G. We're flying back. He's got two phones. He got one phone for his personal shit. He got one phone for wifey. Like, boo boo, I'm coming. Boo boo, I'm coming. So we get to the thing. We get to the airport. It's like we're supposed to go to whatever gate it is. I'm like, fuck, I'm flying back with this guy. It's crazy. Gate 6C or whatever the fuck it is. We go to the gate. We get to the gate. He goes, no, we switched the gate. It's now gate 72, blah, blah, blah. He looks at me. This nigga starts running.
What you mean? He starts running.
To the gate. So chaotic.
He's like booking.
What you mean?
I'm like, holy shit. So I'm like out of breath trying to run to keep up with this motherfucker. Like we're running through the airport.
Dogs is fast.
Dog is super fast.
Were you in shape at this time in your life? I'm curious. I'm sorry.
I'm dragging my eye. Like I hope to see him somewhere in the distance. Like
he's like huffing and puffing.
I'm huffing and puffing. Like, I'm trying to make sure I follow this age. We get to the gate.
This is funny.
Thank you. We get to the gate. We just missed the flight.
Damn. Oh my God.
Just missed it. It just took off. Damn. He's all mad. Boo boo! Boo boo! I missed the flight. Boo boo! Boo boo! Boo! Calling his wife to share at the time. I think it is. Boo boo! I missed the flight. Def Jam calls him like a private thing. We got to fly in that. Like it was just insane. Like, wow. But imagine running through an airport with DMX. Like, I had flown to him to get the interview.
Yeah.
Now I'm caught up in his craziness of like trying to give up. But then Def Jam got him a private thing. So like we're on this flight flying back to New York. I pass out. It's just like.
Did you get the interview?
Yeah, eventually.
Okay. I'm like, does the story have a good ending?
That's the journalist and Regi. She was like, wait, all that bullshit.
Right? Yeah. Did you get it done? No, but here's the funny thing I learned about DMX. DMX is different culture. Like back in our day, before everything was on video, the power was in the, as Reg, the power was in the tape recorder, like pulling this out and interviewing you. So what rappers would do was like the thorough niggas would not want to say anything on the tape. Like, like you'd be talking to young Jay-Z, you'd be like, yo, da-da-da.
Because it looked like
turn the tape recorder off.
Facts.
I told nigga, fuck that nigga. Blah, 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 blah. Like, yo, dog. Like, I'm trying to say that. It's not on tape. So they'd be very cognizant of what was on the audio recorder and what they would say.
Got it.
Yeah. So X was playing that game with me, right? So then I'm talking to him. He's talking all this shit. Finally, I'm like, I turned my recorder. I said, fuck it, I'm turning my recorder on. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Let me get in trouble.
Yeah.
So we're talking about shit, blah, blah. He says, he's like, you should have had your recorder on for that shit. I was like, I had my shit on. Like, you have your shit on? It's on now? He's so proud of me. Like I did that shit. Like, but like, there was a whole game of like, I'm not gonna say it on the record. I'm a real like. It was like that's the feds. Like, don't say it on the tape. So
who would have fucking known that Elliott had such a great impression of DMX?
That's really good.
I have listened to you for the last decade of my life, and that is one thing I have learned from this fucking conversation, bro.
And not for nothing, yo. I think that's part of the reason, because I know we're gonna conclude soon. I think that's part of the reason. That's part of the reason why you're still here. Yeah. Like, you have those moments that, see, hip hop and rap, it's very fast.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to adapt quickly. Yeah. So I don't like the ageist conversations that we do have, because it's like, so long you have it inside you, you'll always be able to do this, man. Salute to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love it.
Before we even do get up out of here, I do want to give my one moment. If an alien came down, what I would tell him, I don't know, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yes.
Because it's fairly recent.
Right.
And I want to talk to our audience, and I think this is a moment where YN's era, our era, could all appreciate, all was there for it.
Yeah.
But it was Dipset versus the Lox.
Man, legendary.
If somebody came down from Mars
tell them watch
and they said, what is hip hop? I would put that tape on. Because no matter how you feel about it, right? Jadakiss, 50 in the Garden, legit. 60, 70, maybe 81 in the Garden. I'll take that. But even the way that Dipset handled it and responded, and the banter, and the commentary, and the swag, and the energy, and the confidence, regardless of how you felt in that moment, I felt like everything about that night was hip hop for me.
That
so
was magical.
50 years of hip hop. Like, I think all of us had amazing moments, but for me, that's the one that kind of stands out.
And you was in the building?
I was not. Okay. I had just left. I think we was actually recording. I was recording with Joe at that time.
Yeah, we ain't get them tickets.
Yeah, we had just left. And I think they were gonna go. I don't know if Joe and the guys went.
No, they went.
They did?
I think so.
I wanted to go. I definitely wanted to. But even without being in the building, it was such a moment. Because
Jada in that moment is like, it remains inspiring. When you watch it now, it's just like
electrifying.
Bro, as a rapper, as an artist, as somebody in media, like, outside of being an athlete, you don't really get a moment where you can have an out-of-body experience and everybody can see it. Right? Like, you might have that while you're writing something, and you're like, yo, I know this shit is fire. Or we might have something on camera, but nobody really knows how we feel.
But it's also that undeniable moment. Like, we all love Dipset. Dipset's the legends too, but like, when Jada had that light, like I remember the year, like, the Carter, like, Lil Wayne won the Grammy or whatever. It's like, everybody's clapping, like, of course he's gonna win the Grammy. It's Carter for me. Like, it's Lil Wayne's time. Like, the undeniable moment where it's like, you made that happen. Like, you're that guy. Like, Jadakiss A-level performance with that shit. How locked in he was. It's
dominated.
Like, you can't fuck with that. Like,
it was insane.
It doesn't take away the greatness ultimately of Dipset, but no one's greater at that moment in that stage, and
like, he delivered.
Like,
absolutely.
Him being top 5 dead or alive, it was executed.
That was the epitome of it.
That was the epitome of it there. Like,
and what I really think, one of the bigger moments that stuck out for me was the support that Styles and Sheik had for him.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody felt like, yo, I got to get the shine. I got to overshadow. Like, it was
guy
full.
has
This is
give him the ball. Give him the
like, bro, they
Sports.
was passing him like, nigga, shoot.
You have the high hand.
Exactly.
I'm setting the picks.
And that's hip hop for me. Like, if 50 years of hip hop, again, I ain't been here for 50 years, but in my time, like, that would be the one moment for me if somebody came down and said, yo, what is hip hop? I would just show them that entire verses. That's it. I would show them that entire verses. It's in New York. It's Cameron. It's jewelry. It's money. It's real niggas. The only thing that didn't fly was
the disturbance.
That was it. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So for me, that would be my moment.
They can't rap.
They was talking about.
I can't believe we saw that live.
It's an instant classic.
It's easily one of those moments.
You know what, though? I got one last question. It's about performing real quick. How do you feel about the 2-track and the dub when artists perform?
I be shouting out when they're like, yo, there's no backing track. Oh my God.
I'd be so impressed when there's no backtrack.
I think you should have it, but it can't be every vocal. It should be like a TV track. It should be certain levels of those verses to keep you on course with it. But like, you can't have your whole it just ruins it. You karaoke now. Like it's just like it's limited.
We're on the same page with that. Man. Thank you.
I'm not mad at that. Before we get up out of here, there is a small list that I put together. It's like quick hits. Okay. I just want to get your thoughts.
Let's do it.
You hear this person's name.
Need to
Let me know how you feel.
You know.
A lot of these people from your era today. No, legit. So I'm curious. You know, I had the conversation about you in radio because it always struck me how you didn't get in the radio, right? For me, how didn't you get in the radio? How didn't you get in the TV?
Out, SaVon.
I see.
He tried.
And I'm about to give you some names.
Now, shout out to G-Spin, man.
Shout out Joey IE. I'm naming the names, nigga. Like, I'll tell you what it is.
I'm not mad at that.
Damn.
And I wish I would have put them on this list. But regardless, I'm going to name some people. Okay. And you just give me your thoughts. You give me your relationship, where you are with them today, where you are with them in the past.
Damn, okay.
That's it.
I like that. I like that.
I'm going to start with this one.
Why you act like it's not loaded when it's loaded, right?
He's like, tell me everything anyway.
Like, you know what time it is.
It's like therapy. How do you really feel about it?
Right?
Insert the person.
Leo Cohen.
My Leo Cohen story. I love Leo. Leo Cohen story is like, remember the early days we were doing the Rap Radar podcast at CBS? We had a whole. Again, this is the era, the early pod era of like, you have a small room and go up to this shit. Remember, he's outside, and like, we didn't have a thing to greet him. He's like, Elliott, what the fuck am I doing outside? And no one will let me in.
Oh, so you were acting.
Operation are you doing?
You're so good at impressions. Like,
He a voice actor. He a voice actor.
But we don't know this coming
we found this out. This is in real time.
He a voice
Shout out
actor.
to the Patreon.
Lior is Lior. Lior is like fucking fearless, and like he's that hype. He is that But he doesn't get like I love Run DMC, and like Lior is a major part of that like ascension of Run DMC. So I forever have love for Lior and like everything he's doing.
For sure.
It's cool.
Dame Dash.
Yeah, laugh every time.
Yeah, let's go.
Have you ever been cursed out by Dame Dash?
I have not.
It's legendary.
Is it?
It's legendary when he pulls the Rockaway ass from you.
Oh, man.
It's legendary when he paces around you and curses you the fuck out and tells you about everything about your life.
For sure.
This man has been through a lot.
Yeah, he really has.
Thank you for coming to speak with us.
Yeah, I love Dame. I come from the era where you had to deal with Dame to get to Jay, right? You couldn't talk to Jay directly.
Right.
I didn't talk to Jay directly till American Gangster era, AG era.
Oh wow, yeah.
And now we're good friends, whatever. But like, I love Dame, man. Dame is who Dame is. He always been that person. Like, so yeah, I've taken my lumps with him. We've had our ups and downs, but I would forever love Dame. Like, ain't nothing to be like, even to be checked by Dame is legendary. Like, Dame was like, he brought that energy to the game that was needed, and like his fire is what helped build and set off the whole thing. So there's nothing without that. So, you know, Biggs could always be the cool one. Yeah. Jay could be the artist in the studio, but like, I come from the era where like the business of Rockefeller and the business had to be going through Dame at all times. So
love that.
Me and Dame have had like a lot of incredible ups and downs, but I have a lot of love for Dame.
Angie Martinez.
Angie's the legend. Like I said, I wouldn't do. Like, it's like, remember Busta said he wouldn't do the verse against Missy. That's how I feel about Ange. Like Ange is like she has a lot of legendary interviews herself. So you know, and me and Ange, like we hype each other up. Like we text each other or DM each other like. You kicking ass. We still here. Like we hype each other up. Yeah, like we're fun. Like, yo, and what she's doing right now with the podcast, like I wanted her to do that at Tidal. We had a whole idea of that back then. Got it. It was her and Minya Miss Info, and it didn't work out. So it's actually the same name now, but she flipped it and made it her thing and like made it work.
That Lauren London interview is gonna go down as one of the best.
Absolutely,
so crazy.
Yeah, Angie's an amazing interviewer. I have so much. Again, Capricorn.
Facts.
I was like,
let's do it. You feel me?
We were gonna bring it up.
Let's not get lost. Let's stay focused.
Not talk y'all shit.
How the podcast was
how's Capricorn not the best sign?
I said so.
I don't understand when people talk otherwise. Like, what are you talking about?
Neither do I.
He's such a Capricorn.
But shout out Big Ange. I call it Big Ange.
I love that.
Not the little one.
I love that. I got a few more names for you.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go here. We go keep it in the family radio. Funk Flex.
I don't have a personal problem with Flex, but I obviously always had a lot of respect for Flex. I mean, I think Flex is still
New York.
He's still the epitome of like DJ culture. Like he's the Jay-Z of DJ, I think, honestly, no matter what.
Wow.
Like, is he like no, but for real, like, it's not about the skill set of like you know, his ziggas is tighter than everybody else's. Like, he brought the whole brand and business to DJing, right? And still does that. Sometimes he goes left and does some nutty shit, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's like, yo, dog, that's flex. Like, it's beyond, like, nobody took that from him. I think, obviously, Clue's dope. Clue has his own lane about whatever, but it's like...
DJ Clue does Stone Radio.
But you can't take away Flex's status in the game. I think Flex is elite.
I got 2 more names, and they're a little bit more current than some of the names that I just named.
Also, one more thing with Flex. I respect also that when the tide started turning where we all had to make our like transition to digital and be modern and do sites, we did Rap Radar. We would be ripping Hot 97 and putting it up. Like I remember ripping like the presidential freestyle, that type of shit.
Okay, yeah.
I literally sat at XXL, ripped that shit myself, put this up. But then Flex eventually adapted and created a Flex We Trust and was like, yo, if y'all motherfuckers is ripping my shit, I'm putting my shit on my site.
My shit,
Like, so I always applaud that move. Like he took control of what was going on in culture.
Adapted.
Yeah.
I love that. 2 more names.
Yep.
Let's go with Vlad, DJ Vlad.
I don't know Vlad like that.
But he's a contemporary. Y'all careers are pretty much parallel, same timeline in a certain respect.
Vlad to me is like academics in the sense of like I don't agree with all the moves they make, but I respect the business acumen. I respect the impact on culture that they've had and how they went about it. So it's the same thing I feel with Ak. But I know Ak a little bit more personal to say what's up to him and say what's up. I don't know Vlad well enough. I kind of knew Vlad more in the mixtape era when he's first coming up. I don't know him as like Vlad TV, whatever, kingpin of what he does. But I respect it. Like, he built independent platform. I think he's ahead of his time. I think now we're like in the independent platform era now. And I think Vlad was ahead of that curve. So
he was.
It's undeniable.
Last but certainly not least, the good brother Charlamagne the God.
He's mad at me because
I thought mental health was
I tapped him in the academics interview.
Yes.
I tapped him a little bit, but I respect Charlamagne. Look, Charlamagne, again, I think Charlamagne, his run and what he's done is beyond exceptional. I think that I don't like when him or Joe Budden try to be humble and say, well, we can't be one of the GOATs because it's Sway and Angie and blah, blah. Like, yo, you're like in that conversation too. Like, stop that shit. Like, it's like feign, like not feign praise, but like feign humility. Like, it's like, yo, what y'all do is what y'all do. Like, he's at that stature. So we don't agree on things all the time. We're not like super friends. We're super cool. Respect is there, but there's no denying his impact on culture. Again, like I said earlier. So I got respect for Charlamagne.
For sure.
Obviously.
For sure. I love that. Appreciate you. You was very candid.
Appreciate you.
Very candid in your responses. I gave it up.
Yeah.
I like that.
But if I say something else, you must have clout chasing and trying to disrespect him.
You were not a clout chaser. You were a journalist keeping up with the times. You gotta understand, it's different for Charlamagne. He's daily radio. So it's a job to continuously go in every morning and put out content.
But again, I came in with Yee. Like Yee again. Yee, shout out to Yee again. Like Yee was the one who really embraced me in my tough time and laugh and magnifying that. So my connection to Breakfast Club was Drew her. It wasn't Drew Envy or him. So but again, that's unprecedented. I feel like it was parallel to me, the whole Rap Radar website taking off and Breakfast Club at the same time. It's like it was the right ideas at the right time. So there's forever a kinship with that, I feel like, at that time. That 09 to 2010s ascension, you know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Man. Wow.
Like us
you feel
with
good?
our
You got
clowns.
enough? You feel like we good? We did it?
Shit,
Did I deliver?
We go for you did more than that. Shit. Man, you talk so
Volume
well.
2?
Shit, yeah, you
feel
talk
me?
so
We
well.
coming back.
Yeah, come back,
Why he wants to
nigga.
go
He need
part
to.
We going to LA.
Yeah, we
You say you don't like
Yeah,
sequels.
yeah.
You say he hates sequels though.
Yeah,
What you
not
do for
mad at
us?
Now we have to. I said, Reg, what I said was sequels are hard to like live up, but I think we should take that challenge on it. We should live
like
up
that.
volume 2.
I
That's
like
even
that.
better than
Yes,
volume
and
1.
have the
I like
palm
that,
trees in
Al.
the back.
We gotta be we gotta challenge ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
let's
Say
have,
Bob,
let's have a
challenge.
moving camera going to Noble with us. Word. Yeah, the one in Malibu too.
The experience,
Yeah.
as he says we should do. You know?
Yeah, I'm not mad
I like
at that at all.
that. I like
Yo,
that.
for real though, thank you for pulling up. Thank you for your contribution to the culture. Again, you know, I think it's a Drake method to your madness, and I'm peeping. No, legit, I'm peeping.
Yeah.
Drake, he's known in Hove, right? We talked a lot about those guys today.
Yep.
And they're known for it. And it's one of those things, again, if you know, you know, right? They reach back to the younger talent, to the upcoming talent. It's some things, and I like to always say this, right? There's some people that are just undeniable. And I like to believe that about ourselves, right?
Yes,
but regardless, the fact that, you know, we were able to have a conversation with you, you felt like there was some type of value of just pulling up, having these talks. So thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because
you didn't ask me, I asked you.
That's true, for sure. So I appreciate that. I think this was fun.
Yeah,
it was
man.
real good,
This
man.
has been dope. I'm not gonna lie. Learning you in an in-person level has been it's been a
I
ball.
like Spicy Elliott. Yo, you need this more.
It's been a ball. man. This guy's great.
If
Some
I
people
could,
don't like Spicy Elliott.
if I could lend a little bit of
Right? Like, fuck them niggas.
What are they gonna do?
That's what I'm saying.
if I can lend a little bit of my marketing hat to you, I hope and I implore you to let people know what your Patreon show is about. Because had I known that I'm giving you my personality, I legit thought you were just talking to people, things that you've already done. I didn't know that it was centered around you, your personality, your story. You're talking to people. You spoke to a lot of these people before. But now that I know, like, yo, this is about me. Like, come fuck with me. Come see who I am. Your energy when you walked in the door, I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, we never met, but I love to see the evolution of you. And I think, you know, we should applaud that. I hope the culture sees that, realizes that. Yo, thank you just for everything that you provided to the culture. Seriously.
And I hope Drake forgives you.
No, he said he's not gonna forgive you. Remember, I said that he will.
He not. But
I said Drake
I'm
is
being
gonna forgive
wishful.
you.
God forgives Drake, don't?
Mic drop.
It is Elliott Wilson,
Yeah,
YN, Spicy. It's what you need to know, when you need to know, on the Need to Know podcast. If you made it this far in the podcast, you might as well subscribe. You might as well let us know how you feel about it. And with that, we out of here, man. Thank you.